What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of AOS Trash Pandas. I'm one of your hosts, Rob, and with me, as usual, is my co-host, Carson. How's it going, Carson?
It's going pretty good. And I hear a rumbling in the meat dimension.
Oh,
Oh my god, it's a beer. I've been handed a beer by the walls of meat behind me. It's
the meat
chaos
dimension has
beer.
been very generous with you lately.
It has been very genuine also, actually.
Also, that's true.
It's been opening up to me and
If there's
yeah,
anything that the meat dimension is, it's genuine, I feel like.
just real positive attitudes and just real supportive.
It doesn't play games. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
And with us as a special guest is Arthur. Arthur is hosting a tournament, the Richmond Reroll, I believe it's called. How's it going, Arthur?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited and nervous for this first tournament at Richmond Reroll.
Like I said before, it'll be fine. And even if it isn't, it's not my problem. So that's nice for me. Moving right along. So you have a store as well in Richmond. Could you tell us about it and a little bit about it or whatever?
Yeah, it's called Richmond Reroll. I've very to the point named the event after the store. So
that is smart. And it sounds like an event name. So yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. A little history behind the name of Richmond Reroll. One of my partners, Victor, he used to own a TCG shop in Aberdeen Square Mall in Richmond. And this is kind of like his second shot at owning a game store. So it's kind of like his reroll kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
His initial store closed down due to COVID. He was pretty impacted by not being able to have anyone in the shop. So yeah,
Dude.
This is kind of our second attempt. And I've been brought on board to tackle the miniature side of things.
Well, it's really awesome when you have someone who knows what they're doing in a store. It makes a huge difference. You know, when you phone in, you're like, yeah, I want some Warp Spark batteries in the new Skaven release. And they're not just like, okay, I need you to spell all of that. Like that entire sentence. You need to spell all of that because I don't know what any of that means, you know? There's some great local stores and I'm not throwing any shade, but they're not always sometimes they're a part of the store. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily most of the ones, all the ones that I go to, they have people that know what they're talking about. So I feel very blessed in general, but it's good that they have you. You used to work for Games Workshop, you were saying before. So you certainly know their product line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I worked there probably about 17 years ago now, but I've kept up with the hobby ever since. I've been doing this kind of stuff since I was probably 11 or 12. So
what did you get in, or what system did you get into Warhammer with?
Originally it was 40K.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, it was with my cousin at the time. The first time I ever walked into a Games Workshop store, my dad introduced it to me because he was part of the UBC Wargamers Club.
Wow, what a lucky man you are.
Yeah, so he's been doing this kind of stuff since he was in college or earlier, can't remember. But I walked into that store and I said, Dad, there's no video games here. But I specifically remember that pamphlet that you could get for free, and it had Bretonians and Lizardmen fighting in fantasy battles. I think it was third edition fantasy at that time or something like that.
That would be fifth edition fantasy.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember just seeing that and thinking, oh, those models are so cool, the Lizardmen and the Knights and stuff like that. And then it was after that I found my cousin showed me that same little pamphlet book, and he said he was getting into 40K with the Dark Eldar side of that Dark Eldar and Space Marine set. That might have been third 40K.
I think remember it was third.
Yeah, with the jungle trees. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those were actually awesome. Those were super cool. They actually sell for a fortune now.
Do they?
Well, or that set in general was very popular. Was that Black Templar that came in there?
Well, yeah, the studio had it painted as Black Templar.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could obviously, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, they were the poster child. Now it's always Ultramarines, and that's so much less interesting to me. I thought it was super cool that they went away from the Golden Boys in 3rd or 4th edition AOS, and they put the what are they called again?
Hallowed Knights.
Hallowed Knights. Thank you.
Silver
Come up with it.
and blue.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something different, you know? Like they used to do that all the time in 40K, and obviously in fantasy was even more interesting because it was always something radically different. It was like it wasn't even always humans. It was like, you know, elves versus Skaven, and, you know, goblins versus dwarves and crazy stuff.
I feel the Hallowed Knights theme fits the Ruination Chamber quite well.
That's true. That's a good point. But like even if it didn't, like by that logic, really the what are the I forget, I don't know my Stormcast. the bone colored ones were like more the Shyish. Oh no, there's also the black ones that were more Shyish themed for the Stormcast. I only remember this from like the novel that came out at the start of AOS 2, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. But I think they should have been doing that with each edition if we're going to have Stormcast all the time. But anyway, I'm glad that they finally did it. So when you went into Games Workshop, I guess it was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, that would have been the 90s.
Yeah, because it was 1995 or 96 that 5th edition came out. I started with 3rd edition, or 4th edition rather, Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And that was, I think, goblins and high elves back in the day. And anyway, did you go to the one that was in Vancouver, the Games Workshop that was on Water Street?
No, that one was before my time. My first experience was Metrotown.
Metrotown, right on. Yeah, that's awesome. I was just curious because like there was a smell to that store on Water Street, and it was like every now and again I smell something similar, and I'm just like, oh my god, because you know like olfactory stuff is like super close to your memory and whatnot. Anyway, and there's like that red carpet. You go up the stairs. Anyway, there's something magical about those. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So moving right along. So your first edition, your first thing was 40K, and what did you play in 40K?
Oh, I started out with Ultramarines, I think, and
Nice.
like everyone does. And
A lot of people, yeah.
yeah, I was so nervous to even paint them. I got my dad to do it all for me, and I didn't want to screw it up. But then I think I started to critique him a little bit, and I was like, you know what? No, don't do it like that. Do this. And then I'm like, here, give me that paintbrush. I'll try. And
Hell yeah. What a great dad, man. Like,
yeah, he still
That's
plays at Trumpeters. He
That's
plays
so awesome.
naval games and stuff like that at Bonser Center. And
is he playing like bolt action or?
no, it's a World War II navals game.
Oh, cool.
And it's very funny and a bit cute because they play on this enormous table. It's probably like maybe 10 foot by 5.5 foot table, and they can't even reach the middle of it. So you got these boomers crawling up on the table and moving the little ship. It's pretty funny. They
need those things like shuffleboard sticks, like on cruise ships, you know?
Yeah. No, we'll be there soon enough, though.
Oh, that's awesome. And then then you did get into fantasy eventually.
Yeah.
And what did you play in fantasy? What's your main deal?
I started out with Orcs and Goblins in the Empire versus Orcs and Goblins starter set.
Yep.
That was
sixth, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's
It was the one right
when I
after
got
the
into Warhammer
Richmond
too,
Roll.
actually.
So.
Oh, really? Oh, wow,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, my brother and I split that box when I was a kid.
Yeah. Great box.
And
All
what
black.
did you get, Carson?
Orcs and goblins.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good choice.
These are like distinguishing tastes that I'm dealing with. I like that, you know? Yeah. No
all
offense
about
to you
that
dwarf
board
players,
chariot.
but yeah. Exactly.
The board chariot is what sold me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I remember I had that like janky looking wyvern too that the Orcs and Goblins had. It was just like awful to put together. Like I remember I tried to use epoxy on the wings and stuff like that, but it was just like this solid chunk of metal that I just could not get to work as a child.
They were tricky. I
Probably
mean,
makes
like
sense.
you didn't know about pinning as a child and whatnot.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I was yeah.
I didn't even know about the green stuff sandwich.
Nice.
No.
A very important thing as well. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. So you're going to be, by the way, welcome everyone. I didn't forget about all the nice people hanging out with us in the chat. Really appreciate you. Before we move on to the tournament, there is the rumor engine that's like sitting right there. I had you look at it ahead of time just so we were all on the same page. It's like a hand reaching up out of some goop. What do we think that is? You know?
Am I going first?
Yeah,
do you wanna go first,
we'll let the guests go first. That seems like a manner.
Well, I think it's probably Space Marines.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So.
That's true.
And that's our show, everyone. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching. We'll see you
Thanks
next
for
time.
watching. By the way, so I'm actually going to guess that it is Age of Sigmar. Because the hand, it's just a hand. And I'm not sure. Here, let me think about it a little bit more. But I just want to say one thing. This is one of the coolest ones they've ever done. Because it's exactly what I want. It evokes my imagination. And it makes me excited. But it doesn't tell me enough to like figure it out. Because we understand that they can't let us know what they actually are. So like, putting that aside. It's my favorite type of rumor engine.
Yeah. It's very specific that there's a lot of things that it could possibly be. So my cope is that this is a Slaughtermaster resculpt. And the pot that he's carrying around has like a hand reaching out of it.
Oh, that's such a great idea.
But I
I'm
don't
on
think that's what
board.
it is, just because like you can see there's like a lot of distance behind where this hand is reaching out from, which kind of
Yeah.
confuses me, to be honest.
I
Like it
actually
seems like
thought
a
it was-
large surface.
I thought it was going to be terrain.
Yeah, I could see that.
'Cause,
Are there
like-
any armies that are kind of like blood themed that would need terrain? Well, Soulblight Gravelords, I guess. Also, thank you, Big Ron, for the
I think
membership.
it's something Soulblight. I mean, if you've seen the rumors going around, there's that hollow. Was it Half King? The Half King. There was a skew.
Right.
That.
Right.
On some of the trade people's Excel form that was something that we've never heard of for Soulblight. And it was a plastic box.
Really? That's exciting. That's really exciting. I don't want to gloss over that, but I did want to say thanks again to Big Ron, Ludivicus. You're still safe. So, and congrats to Matt for getting the gifted subscription. That's really exciting. I actually didn't hear about that. I tend to be pretty tuned into some of the rumors and whatnot, but it's been busy lately. So there's like an Excel sheet of like, what do you call it? So I guess we know that Soulblade's coming up soonish. I guess they're getting a release.
I knew about Slaves and obviously Stormcast and Skaven, but I hadn't heard anything about Soulblade.
Oh wow!
Let me pull it up again. I had it saved somewhere. Let's just see if I can find it.
Yeah. Because what we saw on the roadmap, if you could even call it that, was that obviously there's Skaven and Stormcast, and they said Slaves to Darkness, and then after that it was just like more is coming.
Yeah,
So-
it was like thanks for nothing. That's literally not how a roadmap works, GW. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, and I mean like, yeah, that does leave a
Well, and
death army to be
And we
figured
know
out.
that there's going to be destruction then death, right? So I guess Soulblight like early-ish next year, and by the way, that also it seems to have proven wrong the that rumor that we heard about IDK coming at the very beginning of the year. So I'm kind of relieved.
There was that coral showed off on the rumor
For
engine
sure.
long ago.
Well, that's probably what like the person like globbed onto when they made up that story about them coming like January or February. But I don't see how that could possibly happen. I do know the what do you call it? Like I know the release date for the Stormcast book. I can't say it obviously, but like I have been told, and just knowing that, I don't see how they could fit in 2 more battle tomes, in like November and December, and then have it's not happening, right? So
Okay, I got the name here. It's
okay,
Soulblight Gravelords, Othar the Half King. The plastic box.
Othar the Half King.
Yeah, MSRP looks to be $48 Canadian. So that's speaking to me like single character clam pack maybe, or
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
box.
it's gotta be.
Which makes me think that this probably isn't that. If it's so cheap that it wouldn't have such like an intricate basing element, or like
Yeah.
a
Although having said that, the Gnaw Lord on Gnaw Beast has like a very similar thing. It just doesn't have the depth of field.
yeah. Have we heard how much
bend over in my
how much a
old-
Gnaw Lord on Gnaw Beast is standalone though, or is it even available standalone?
I
Alone,
think,
but it's online only, web store only.
but
I
isn't it
see.
also like doesn't the Claw Lord come with like one or two other things, or is he on his own sprue?
Nope, I've seen it on the web store.
Oh, okay.
It's just a single model by itself. It'll be in one of those Games Workshop like generic boxes.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. I mean, who's buying that? And I mean, you guys know what the beast, the Gnaw Beast thing looks like, but there's like a decent amount of goop in amongst his base, so it wouldn't surprise me if. I don't think that's what that is though, like because like Carson said, there's like a decent depth of field in there.
Yeah, and I don't even see the rim of a base anywhere.
I'm actually gonna guess that. So you know how each edition we get like themed terrain. I'm gonna guess that this is like some kind of Skaven themed terrain, because the mind goes where it wants.
We're in Akshi right now, right?
We are. Yep.
Yeah, so Akshi terrain would be awesome.
It would. I mean, like the like all of the Skaven the new stuff, like including Visic has like liquid, you know, like what do you call them? Like scenic bases. So I don't know. It seems like kind of where their mind is going right now. So that would be cool to me.
No, it's not us. It's more Gur terrain.
yeah. I hope not. I would like. They built this insane, amazing, like 7-foot high Skaven diorama at Warhammer World in England, and it's crazy, and it's got like all the crazy scaffolding, and it goes up like higher than people's heads, and like if they could just build some kind of thematic Skaven terrain, I will buy all of it, multiple copies. Like I tried to make my own, and it looked like a mountain range of penises. So yeah, I noticed. I mean, I haven't given up on it. I was talking to Sean from High Life Scenery. He was the one who was kind enough to paint our new terrain that we have on our for the battle reports, and I was talking to him about ideas for how to, you know, go back to Penis Mountain Range and make
Sean
it.
Blake.
Yep, Sean
Nice.
Blake, painter extraordinaire. He painted up all the Warcry, the swampy Warcry terrain, and like I was just like, yeah, like I don't really want it to look like I don't really like the way GW painted it. So I was thinking like kind of green for the trees, you know, like a swampy green, kind of dark green. And then like I was thinking maybe like a green bamboo for this. And then I was like, other than that, I don't really care. Like I always find that like if you go to an artist, whether it's a model painter or whatever, it's best to give them like an idea what you want. But if you can let them like kind of express themselves, you'll get a much better, you know, return. You'll get a much better like product or whatever from them. And I just kind of like said, you know what, do whatever you want kind of thing. And my God, did he knock it out of the park. There was like glowing green bits that like the warp stone is like leaking out. Like that was his thing. Like you'd think I would have come up with that, but I was just like, no, I want to just leave it up to him. And he knew me, and he had like Skaven symbols on there, and it like unfortunately our cameras don't go in close enough that you could really see what an amazing job he did. But one day we're working on that kind of
You're
thing.
working on it.
Yeah.
Maybe
like
not,
it's
not very far away.
not far away, but yeah. And so the first battle report has to be with Sean's terrain in it for sure.
I'm probably gonna get him to do some stuff for the shop too.
He is insane. Yeah. He's got quite the wait list right now, but contact him early is what I would say. Get in contact with him. I think his thing, I know I added it to the battle report, but I might not have added it. It's High Life Scenery on Instagram, and he said just contact him through there.
Card, like, right here. I can't remember what I did with it.
I will try to remember to add it to the description after the show, or maybe if we have a lull here,
Actually
I'll
in
do it
there
at some point.
already.
Oh, is it good? Okay, thank
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, I was like anyway. I'm glad that it's in there. So, on to your tournament. Actually, first, really quick, what is your favorite army in Age of Sigmar?
Slaves to Darkness.
Slave to Darkness. Nice. That's a good one.
My
I remember
army
you-
mostly painted, and it's in a display case at the shop, so everyone can. If you haven't seen it yet, you can see. I've been painting for a long time too, so I'm not a noob when it comes to that department. I do some commissions of my own, but with the shop and just life stuff, I've been so busy lately. I can't really take on anything. But
Yeah, I remember you brought your Slaves to Darkness to Wet Coast back in March, and they looked fantastic. Or the ones that were painted, obviously.
I've gotten more done since then. 2,000 points is almost fully painted.
Nice.
Well, I look forward to seeing them at the next year's Wet Coast, which they'll definitely be at, right?
Oh,
Right?
yeah. I'll try and stay longer at Caker Death this time too. I played one round last time and my back was killing me, so I had to leave.
Oh.
It's not because I lost. I actually won that round. We'll have you know.
That's fair. Yeah. At least it's an elite army. I also have, like the main reason I don't play like crazy Skaven hordes now. I threw up my clan rats in the background just because the tournament we don't have like a poster for your tournament to put up. So I figured it's better than nothing, and also I didn't want to have the rumor engine on there anymore because it was shining off my pasty face and blinding me at the same time. So I just threw up my clan rats in the background that I finished painting. But yeah, so your tournament. Sorry, I don't want to keep you too long. Obviously, I know you have to get going, but tell us about Richmond Reroll and the tournament coming up.
Yeah, so we officially opened in June, and it's just been a slow grow since there. I mean, word of mouth has to spread
everyone?
to really
Welcome
get
to another
gaming
episode.
stores up and running. So I haven't really been surprised at how it's been going, but every month we've been seeing like more and more people coming to the shop and play miniatures games. I'm trying to introduce new games kind of slowly and take it step by step, but AOS was the first one that I really wanted to push because it's one of the games I'm enjoying the most right now. I play almost everything, but my main group of friends, the club called the Pals, we mostly play AOS, so I decided to start there, and it's just been really good timing with the new edition, and people are so stoked to play it, so stoked to come out. So I was kind of shocked myself when I finally got a date ready and prepared to have a tournament on. It sold out like within maybe a week of me putting it up on BCP. It was
awesome.
I even expanded. I added 4 more spots just so people on the wait list could actually get on. I think we're sitting right now at about 33 out of 36 people.
Wow.
A couple people had to cancel within the past week, which is understandable. Things come up, but I did try and like plan it well ahead of time so that people could actually commit to it. And I asked generally like the couple clubs that come to my shop, I asked what day would be good, and they said, yeah, this 22nd looks good for everyone. So that's what we're starting with, and hopefully I plan on doing something like this every 2 months. There's nothing else really locally that can have that many people playing at once and that does like one-day events. So I'm hoping to get that niche market while I can and get people in and having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're sitting at 33 people right now, which is, again, like I was saying before the stream actually started, is the most I think I've ever seen for any RTT. So that's a huge accomplishment for the first one you guys are ever running. I've seen plenty of GTs that don't even get to those numbers. Like, there's a lot of GTs that kind of cap at 24 for the smaller ones. And then I think 32 players is the exact number of players you need to have precisely 150 at the end for like a 2-day GT. So that's kind of the perfect size too, if you ever consider doing that in the far future. But yeah.
like we were talking about a bit before the show, yeah, I totally do it. I just need to commit the 2 days and give everyone notice. Maybe it's something to look for maybe early next year or after the tournament circuit early next year, because I know there's like LBO, and then there's going to be Cake or Death, there's going to be Wet Coast GT. I don't want to conflict with anything, so we'll play it by ear for now. But I'm planning on scheduling another event for early November, probably.
Nice.
If this all goes well. I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
So be on your best behavior, everyone.
Yeah, please be nice to me.
Yeah. I don't actually care about that. Moving right along. Yeah. Oh, by the way, so Tom, you asked about the Brood Terror. I have not forgotten. Just stick around. We only have Arthur for so long, so we just wanted to get a chance to chat about. And I didn't think there was a poster, but Carson just sent it to me, and so it's now up on the screen.
I even told him there in fact was not a poster earlier.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus. I don't do my friends like that, but yeah. So anyway, it's up on the screen now. Yeah, the 22nd of September. $30 is nothing.
No,
that's
Canadian.
Canadian.
That's $1.99 American for those
it's
south of the border.
Or if you have like normal Monopoly money, we take that as well. Yeah. Just kidding.
There is at least one American coming up that I know of. So.
Good deal. Is it Will?
Sorry? Yeah, Will.
Yeah. I think Bryce is coming too. There's a couple people from the US that are coming.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah. There's a really strong scene of Age of Sigmar players in like Seattle and Bellingham and Vancouver that we all kind of like to go to each other's events. So there'll be a lot of familiar faces.
Also, like Richmond is really close to the border. Like it's on the border. It's where the airport is. There couldn't be a more convenient place to host.
Not only that, but very convenient for people coming from the island too, with Tawasin ferries.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a great point.
Very true.
Yeah. That's a great point. I used to go off from there all the time because I can't even remember why. Actually, I think like back in the day, like this is like 15 years ago or more, like you could only get like super late ferries on certain days from the Vancouver to go to where was it, Nanaimo? There's like 2 different landing spots.
There's Duke Point.
Duke Point. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you just said it, but I couldn't hear it. So, but yeah, like, so I used to go there, although it's very convenient. It couldn't be more convenient. Yeah. What a great spot. It's just not convenient for me because I live like on the opposite side, but I don't go to tournaments anyway. So it's just perfect for everyone. Moving right along. So, there's 32 people in it. Like that is, like Carson said, that's incredible. And you've got like a big enough store, which is kind of like this is like a really good advertisement for your store as well, because it's like you have such a big store that you can host a tournament with 6 or 18 tables in it. Like that's amazing. And then and I know you carry all the Games Workshop products, but I think you also carry or actually why don't you, I'll let you do it. What else do you carry in the store?
Yeah, we're starting to stock some other games that I personally like, tabletop games. So Star Wars Shatterpoints, Marvel Crisis Protocol, as well as all the Games Workshop games. I plan on getting some others in when it comes out, likely War Machine, likely Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game.
Nice.
Which I also play and dabble in. But and then as far as hobby supplies goes, we're working on getting Monument hobby stuff in Vallejo, Tamiya. I just put in an application for getting Bandai stuff, so like Mr. Hobby, like the Gundam stuff in. I personally use some of the Mr. Hobby stuff for Games Workshop stuff. Like their skull coat is very, very good. It's got like a UV cut on it, so if you have a display case that's sitting near a window, you don't have to worry about getting sun bleached on your models, which is good. And there's a good texture to it too. It just feels nice on your models after you're done spraying it. So that's something that I've like. It's very, very similar to Tester's skull coat, I would say, but I kind of like it a bit better. So yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, but we are working on getting all the hobby stuff in. We're talking about Gamers Grass. I would totally be down to get that stuff in as well. I use it all the time, but one step at a time here, baby steps.
I'm a big fan of Tamiya for their plastic glue, plastic cement. But I haven't really used Mr. Hobby before. Yeah. I've got a bottle of that, a bottle of the thin, and another bottle of sprue goo that I always have in a row next to where I put models together, which is like on the side of my couch next, where the TV is, so I can put something on and put them together. But yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I like the Tamiya glue, but I gotta give it a little shout out to the Games Workshop plastic glue because I actually really like the thin applicator on it. The thin metal applicator. Yeah.
I found that it got stuck in mine, and I was told you can like light it on fire or whatever, but I just kind of was like, eh.
Okay, I've never experienced. I've never actually bought it. I since I've got it in the store, I've taken a look at it. And I'm
tried it. Yeah, I tried it when it came out, and yeah, it wasn't for me. But like, I don't know. I like to try new things, even though like I am a huge fan of Tamiya. Like after that I was just kind of like, why did I even do this? like I like the brushes because you can control exactly where it goes. Anyway, enough about Tamiya. I will go on about it. Yeah. Okay. Here, Carson, why don't you? I'm
sure. Yeah. So regarding like the tournament, I'm kind of curious as to like what you're expecting to see, and then what you're kind of hoping to see by the end of Sunday there, for how it'll go.
Well, mostly I want to make sure everyone has a good time. That's my number one concern, and people are willing to come back for another one. I guess I'm kind of curious about the meta that's going to be showing up, and I'm kind of curious what forces people are going to be bringing. This is the first big event I'll have personally witnessed for AOS. I know some of you guys have gone to the States before for them, but I think locally it might be one of the first for AOS 4, right?
I think it is the first in the Lower Mainland. Yeah.
So I'm extremely interested. Oh, hi, Alicia. I'm extremely interested to see what people are bringing and what people are excited to play. I'm a little bit apprehensive about having 32 people for a one-day event. I don't know how people are going to feel about leaning so heavily into tiebreakers. It's going to have to with only 3 rounds and 33 people, but hopefully everyone will be okay with it. I did want to say for the next tournament, I actually got one of those new AOS organized play kits coming in. It'll actually have a last trophy.
We covered those. That's right. Yeah, that's really cool.
Should be coming in this week with the Skaven stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another thing I might want to do for next time, since the price support for this time around is only going to be like store credit and some raffle stuff that I have to give away. But next time I wouldn't mind making some custom glass trophies with the store logo on it and AOS best army, best overall, best sportsman kind of thing. That's something I do plan on doing for next time. But please just keep in mind this is my first time for this event, so I don't want to set the bar too high. I just gotta try it out first, see how it goes.
Is that why you're starting with AOS, where the community is so nice and awesome?
Yeah.
Actually, are you going to do? Okay. Would you consider, or like I'm not like, I play 40K very very casually. I've only played like a handful of games in 10th edition. But is that something you might do as well?
Yeah, that was the idea. I wanted to do one of these big tournaments monthly. So the idea was to do AOS one month, 40K the next month, and just alternate. I don't know if people are going to get burnt out of that, though. That seems like maybe a lot. I
think it'll depend on what,
who wants to play at what time.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot too on like the schedule of tournaments that are kind of around that time. In September, There are a couple events down south. There's no events during like the weekend that you're playing, but one thing that's kind of nice actually is that the week after Richmond Reroll is a big event in Seattle called Sparkle Party, and an RTT is a really great way to prepare for a 2-day GT. So that's a great thing to take advantage of there. So I think as long as you're kind of in the know about like when the other events are happening and you schedule around that, you know, I think people would be pretty happy to come back every 2 months.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I have tried to get Ryan Hamar into the shop to check it out. I know he like does a lot of the promoting and sometimes helps run 40K events. Do you know Ryan?
I don't know Ryan.
Okay.
No. Yeah,
Okay,
neither
yeah,
one of us have been into the competitive. I only knew some of the guys from Chop and whatnot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Pat Crone came out to the store for a Guild Ball event. I had.
Cool.
Yeah. It was like the Guild Ball event was really the first thing that I ran because I have a stack of like the organized play kits for Guild Ball. I love that game, and they just started supporting it again. So I had a small 8-person tournament for Guild Ball, and that was fun. And some of the Pat and Jamie both came out. They were both.
Oh, that's awesome.
The old
I love
Chop
Jamie.
guys. Yeah. Good people. So and
Jamie's
Pat
a fantastic dude. Like truly salt of the earth. Yeah, amazing guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I played Malifaux with Jamie back in the day too, quite a bit.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's
still.
huge into that. He does like demo events for that game. I think Pat's in North Van too, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe
Right?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Pat was commenting while he was there. He's like, "Oh man, this would be good for a 40K event." And I said, "Yeah, like tell the people, tell them."
Yeah. I think like, and I mean, I don't know this. Like, I don't know the local like zeitgeist or meta for 40K enough to comment at all. But I think they tend to lean more competitive. And a lot of our local meta is very, very competitive for Age of Sigmar as well. Back in the day, like our local club was like number 4 in the world at one point during AOS 1 and stuff like that. So we've always had like a strong representation of, very competitive people in this area. But I think like, I mean, the more events, the better. So, but I mean, I think the best thing would probably be to gauge what people say. Like you could ask them like, like when they come in, like, would you guys be up for, how often would you want to come in and do an RT? And, or would you rather have a GT like every 2 months or something? And whatever, I don't know,
I'm definitely going to take a poll of the people that are there, see what they want to do. Because I'm here to cater to the people that are coming in to play, right?
Yeah.
I just like seeing everyone in the shop. So.
And store credit is like, that's great. Like,
okay, I wasn't sure if people were going to be satisfied with that or.
No, yeah, I mean, Carson's the expert here for sure. Carson?
For what? Again, sorry.
Oh.
Somebody messaged me at the exact same time, and my mind just went to the void dimension. One more time, sorry.
We were kind of talking about, like gauging the people that come to the tournament, whether and how often they would be down for RTs, or maybe they would prefer GTs or whatever. But then I was talking about like how like store credit is great.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, store credit totally. There's a store down in Bellingham, Aegis. They run a lot of RTTs, and they exclusively do store credit essentially.
So, question: do they do like half of your entry fee is store credit goes towards store credit, or do they like chop the like half of the overall amount they got from entry fees and like divvy it up into raffle prizes and like best first, second, third kind of thing? Like, how do they do the store credit? Because that's another thing I'm going to ask the people there. What do they want to see? Do they want to see like half of the entry fee go to store credit? So you're only paying $15 to cover cost, and then $15 goes towards buying something. Like, what do they do?
Yeah, totally. The so for Aegis, I know that it kind of seems fixed depending on like regardless of how many people come, and then they have like best painted, best sports, and whoever actually won best general, and that's it actually just for the RTTs. And they usually get like 10 people. Sometimes I think I've seen as many as like 18 or 20 or something like that. And it kind of sticks around in that range. I don't actually know what the split is for like their ticket sales versus like how much they're actually giving out as prizes. But I do know that they charge more. I think Aegis is like, I want to say 50 US or something for an RTT,
Whoa.
which is like double essentially what you're charging.
It's more than double because Canadian is not that strong right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And then I think, just speaking
By
as
the way,
myself,
that wasn't a knock at them. That's a perfectly reasonable price.
yeah.
I think Richmond Reroll is just a lot cheaper than most other tournaments. So, and I think for a GT, you probably could and probably should charge at least
100%.
double for a GT. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just speaking for myself regarding like prize support, I personally like it when there's like some sort of small memento for like the winners of each category. And then I actually prefer it if the prize support goes to just random people.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
Like door prizes or raffles or something?
Yeah, that's what I plan to do for quite a bit of it. I have some like actual models to raffle off to random people. And I was thinking about taking some of the prize support pool for store credit and divvying it up into like small random raffle price support store credit raffle, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It felt really good when a bunch of us went up to Prince George for a GT recently.
Oh yeah.
Northern Wastes. And what was nice is when they were doing the award ceremony, they started by raffling off all of the prizes on the table to just random people at the tournament. And then I think there's a couple of small things later that were like, like cutting mats and stuff like that for winners of the categories. But the winners of the categories got like little trophies essentially. And then if you just so happen to win a raffle, then good for you. But it's nice that the whole community gets to kind of like celebrate in this raffle, as opposed to like, here are the people that did really well and they get all the stuff too. Yay. Like that can suck.
Because like if you're going to your first tournament, you're just kind of like, well, I've got no hope at ever winning anything unless there is a raffle. So yeah, like that's really cool.
Yeah, I want everyone to come in and have the chance to walk away with something.
Absolutely. Oh, and
not
by the way,
just like walk away with the fun games that you had, but also like something to work on for later.
Well, and that really is what you're going for, is like people are paying money to do a tournament, and ostensibly the money goes towards you for the work and resources that it takes to run a tournament. So like that really is the thing. But the prizes, it helps encourage people to go, I think. Right. So
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I think that's super awesome. And Beefy Crunch, thank you so much for being a member of the channel. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I think that there's a bit of a stigma as well, and not just AOS, but any wargaming community, where it's just like TOs should not profit off of like the events that they host. And it's like, why would you not pay someone for their time, right? They spend so much time setting up everything here.
Well, not only am I TOing it, I'm also running the store. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, like, there's not much of that around either. Like someone who actually works at the store TOing a gaming event. Like most of the games and events that I go to, and again, this is like not a knock on the store or anything, but a lot of the times it's run by a volunteer from the community that just wants to like more people to play the game, right?
It
like,
usually is, yeah.
The last time I went to something that was actually like an event run by a shop, like staff in the shop, was probably like a Malifaux event down at Mock's boarding house in Bellevue.
Damn.
And that was run by an actual staff member of Mock's boarding house. And before that, it probably was Game Stars, when Game Stars was still a thing out in Langley.
Dang. Yeah, like, and you know what? Shout outs to Andy Selwood. We talked about him a little bit before the stream, but he's been running local events, as I was telling Arthur, since AOS 1. He has never gotten anything, and more often than not, he's out of pocket. Like he has to pay for his travel and his expenses at staying at a hotel. And he's been doing it since AOS 1 just to help build the community. Never got a dime for it. The first time he ever got anything for it was Games Workshop sent him and a bunch of other TOs Skaven Tide for running tournaments for AOS 3 and whatnot. And and he's been doing it since AOS 1 and out of pocket for years now, for like the better part of a
Send an
decade.
email to them. You got to email them and say, so where's my AOS 1 and AOS 2 price support?
You know what though? Like we actually tried to nominate him for a Hobby Hero award. I was actually nominated at the same time, but they didn't. They kind of stopped doing it around that time, and whatever, it's fine, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's not at all. Yeah.
I mean, like, sorry, I was speaking for myself there. Like, you know, like the reward that I got for helping, like, I never ran tournaments. What I would do is I would run campaigns like Path to Glory and, you know, and like all sorts of narrative campaigns, Kill Team, 40K, mostly Age of Sigmar, Warcry. I made interactive maps where I could, anyway, I got really jiggy with it, and that's kind of what I did, you know what I mean? And I just meant that, like, you know, like the Hobby Hero Award, like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? The reward was building this amazing community that we have in this area now, and now I know so many awesome people that I have closer friends now because of this hobby than I have for most of my entire life. And
I think we all do.
yeah, and the Age of Sigmar community is like, I'm sorry, other communities. Like 40K community is great, everything's great, but the Age of Sigmar community, man, like, my God, it's just the best community. Like, they're just the most chill and fun people to play. Not everyone, obviously, there's going to be jerks and stuff in every community. You know, they'll get in there somehow. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I host a weekly podcast with one, so obviously you guys know at home. But seriously though, it's so awesome, and I'm glad that we're gonna have another tournament, another store, and another like community. You know, that's gonna be joining the fray and helping us build an even better scene locally. You know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I was just going to say about Andy. I've been to events that he's hosted, but he gets to play this coming Sunday, so I'm hopefully returning.
Yeah. Hell yeah, yeah. Give him a hard time. Say no to all of his proxies. I'm just joking, of course. I don't think he has any.
I'm looking for some pointers from him. We were communicating through emails within the past week, and he says he's willing to, you know, give me some advice and stuff like that. So that's much appreciated. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, Andy's the man. I used to do like for all the tournaments that he was doing, I would like go over to his place and we would go through all the lists together because I was the only person not playing in it. So I could look at the lists and we would find all the things, you know, like people, especially back then, people would always forget like to include spells, or like they'd have an extra artifact or something like that, because, you know, there's always new people and whatnot. So, but I haven't done that in ages now. It's been great. But
well, this time around, like, pretty much everyone's going to be new edition, right? There's going to be lots.
That's
of
true.
Growing pains.
It's true. Luckily, like, list building has kind of simplified a lot.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, yeah, the app is really great, or any of the various things that you can use online is really great for kind of parceling it out and making it easy to understand. And there is no way of getting like spell lore. Like a big thing in third edition was like that, like most people thought, like going in, and including me at the very beginning, was like when you take a spell enhancement in AOS 3, like at the very beginning, everyone just thought you got one extra spell on one wizard. So it's kind of like, why would you ever do that? And it's like, no, every wizard in your army gets to pick another spell. And it was just like, holy crap, this is actually really good. But like stuff like that, you know, where like even like the last one that I checked in AOS 3, the last time I did like a list review with Andy to make sure everything was legal, I saw people who only had one extra spell when they had a spell enhancement. So, you know, but now it's just like, there is nothing, like you don't need to pick that. And it's just like on your list, like spell lore, manifestation lore, you know what I mean? You can have one artifact, you can have one heroic trait, and that's it. There's nothing else. You don't have to pick a triumph. You don't have to, you know, like any of that stuff. So it's kind of a quality of life improvement probably overall for most people.
Yep. Holy Commands. The
Holy Commands. Yeah,
every
yeah.
single tournament there'd be people like missing those for their Stormcast
Oh,
list.
for sure.
Yeah.
I do hope that we get more. Like, I actually hope that they start to expand that out. I hope we get mount traits. I hope we get, you know, a little bit more. I know this. A lot of people are disappointed with the Skaven book, and probably will be disappointed with the Stormcast book because it's basically just the what do you call it? The index with additional war scrolls in it. But you know, hopefully as we go along, that's usually the case, right? Like we didn't see any special what do you call them? Heroic actions or monstrous rampages for the first few books, or first, like, what, 6 months or so at least, maybe. Was IDK the first one to get a monstrous rampage? I can't remember. Anyway, Skaven didn't have it, so
I know one of the things people were talking about for AOS 4 is that instead of, you know, fleshing out actual battle tomes with additional content like that, they may leave that design space for like armies of renown and stuff like that.
Yeah, armies of renown, or even like something that they've kind of done in, you know, like when they come out with the, what are they called? The worst. It's called Data Slate in 40K, and for some reason I can't remember the AOS one, even though that's the
Battle Scroll.
Battle Scroll. Thank you. The Battle Scroll, like traditionally back in the day, like before in AOS 1, Skaven wasn't an army. It was just chaos, and then you could choose to only bring Skaven models, right? But they started to add, before we got a book in AOS 2, they started to add different things in the General's Handbook. So like that's another spot too where I think they could just, you know, add some zip and go back, or Battle Scroll. You know, like they've done that with Tyranids. Like Tyranids were doo-doo for 10th edition. They didn't play. They weren't fun. It was like control. It was garbage. And then they've just kind of gone back in the data slate and changed a bunch of stuff, and now they're apparently quite fun. So
I have Tyranids. That's what I'd want to play in 40K.
Tyranids is my favorite army. They're actually not what I started with in 2nd edition 40K. I started with actually Chaos Space Marines, and I'm not even like, other than Skaven, I'm not really a Chaos guy, but like there were so few models, and I loved that. You know, especially in 2nd edition 40, it doesn't matter. But yeah, they're definitely my all-time one true love for 40K. They're so much more interesting than anything else to me. Yeah, I would like to see them do that kind of thing. You were saying your main army is Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah, I've been playing that mostly in 4th. I have a Sylvaneth army as well.
Nice.
Quite a bit of it painted. But I tried them for a few games too. They play much differently than the previous edition. But still pretty solid, I found. But more,
I think they're difficult. You know?
Yeah. I was utilizing the 6-pack of Kurnoth Hunters with scythes, and then a branch witch standing behind them, giving them strikes first and anti-charge with extra rend. Like, you just don't want to charge into that. It's
no kidding. Yeah.
But at the same time, I found it like I don't want to charge with them either because I'm losing that rend, you know, and I'm losing strikes first because I'm charging in my turn, and someone else could get strikes first and then hit me first, and it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, and I do like how they changed Strike and Fade though, because it was kind of like, I think it was like kind of a bad play experience for a lot of people, especially people who aren't like super competitive. You know what I mean? When they just come in, destroy your thing, and then they F off before you even get to hit them back, and you're just like, wait, what? You know?
Urthu got toned down a little bit too. He can't do like 36 damage in one go anymore.
Yeah, the Greenwood Gladius and
the Gladius is nowhere near what it was.
No kidding. Yep, for sure. You know,
and like Urthu's still solid.
No, I think he's great, and I don't think that there's. I mean, like I think monsters in general aren't great in this edition, and that will likely change over time. I think they're trying to be very careful, and I don't think that's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, the rampages aren't across the board always as effective, and
No.
I find having the monster keyword is kind of a detriment in a lot of situations. just because
Yeah.
of the anti rule out there.
And I think they've pointed them and made them. I think they've both made them a little less scary in general, and pointed them so that they're not a great pick. Like the Hell Pit, like was bad until it got like lowered far enough in points, and now like it doesn't hit as hard. It doesn't do any of like the really cool stuff that it used to do, like with the Avalanche of Flesh and whatnot. And it's way more expensive. And so then like I tried to take it myself, and I was just like, ugh, this thing is really bad. It also doesn't take buffs from Mulder's menagerie thing. And I think that they're kind of doing it on purpose, but then also they're going to probably, loosen the reins a little bit, and because I think people like monsters. Like that's kind of what made AOS popular in AOS 1 was because we were going from like fantasy where you needed like 1 million bodies and infantry and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like, bring whatever you want. You want to just bring only Hell Pit abominations? You could do that. Like you could in AOS 1. Like you would nominate one of them to be your general. But then like later on there was battle line restrictions and stuff like that. But it's always been kind of the game where you could just bring a bunch of monsters, So
They also just look cool. They're big reason why I play slaves is Be'lakor's so sweet looking. And
Be'lakor is, I think, like if I'm being objective, it's probably the best model they've ever made, like full stop.
pretty good.
It's not my favorite. My favorite is definitely 100% Vizek, the new Skaven character. I think objectively it's close. I think that thing is so freaking cool. And then for me, it probably goes Croak, and then Usharan, and then probably Be'lakor. And I don't play slaves at all. I bought Be'lakor. I haven't painted him yet, but like I just want to paint the model. I don't have any intention of getting any Slaves to Darkness unless they like really change, a lot of stuff about it that they're never going to do. Oh, actually, you know what? I do like Ogroids. I think Ogroids are awesome.
I have 6 painted.
Do you? Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I painted them. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten the chance to use them in 4th. I think they kind of do a different thing that I used to use them for in 3rd. In 3rd, they were really good at just like being a missile. Like you throw demonic power on them, they're just chopping the unit up. I had 3 of them go into a unit of a Gargant mob, the Man Crusher mob, and just wipe it off the table. Yeah.
I'd like to tell you that surprised me. Yeah, I have no idea what they do now. All I knew with them was from AOS 3. They were like the ultimate missile, like you said, like glass cannon. Yeah.
I just finished painting my 10 block of Chosen.
Nice.
And they are really disgusting in the game anyway. They're
really good. Yeah. I think Slaves is like one of my favorite designed armies in AOS 4. Like if I were to play an army purely for the rules, which I don't do, obviously, as a not a tournament guy, but I love how they function as an army. I think they're simple and effective and super fun. They're a great Timmy army,
There's just a ton of war scrolls in that faction to choose from too. There's so many different ways to build an army, and I think that might be why Slaves is coming out on the front end of things in 4th. Like they're coming out soon with their new book. I think they're getting the books out that have a ton of war scrolls already, so that they can actually have like a bigger release for maybe some of these books that don't have a lot of war scrolls, like Sylvaneth.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I don't know. I like same with Soulblight. If Soulblight's coming out, they have a crap ton of war scrolls to choose from as well.
Skaven gets
lot.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think you might be right. I think you're onto something there.
Maybe, who knows?
Because like with 40K, they kind of promised that they were going to give like somewhat of a release for each book that comes out. Like we're used to just getting like foot heroes, you know what I mean, with each release. But it looks like we're going to get a little bit more.
I think so.
I would love that. I would really like that. Especially there's a couple of armies that really, really need like way more than just a foot hero. Like Aigna Deepkin, like Fire Slayers. I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of, but they're way too small for considering their popular. Well, I mean, I don't know about Fire Slayers, but like Deepkin I know are.
If you look back at when they were, well, they're still selling them, but when those faction packs came out with the War Scroll cards, if you look back at any of the ones that were just $20, those factions need some extra material.
Yeah, that's a good point, huh? Yeah, like, I mean, since IDK came out at the end of AOS 1, we've gotten the Thrall Master.
A couple Underworlds warbands.
Oh yeah, I don't count them because they're not for AOS, and they're not going to be in AOS 4, so I don't count them.
Plague Pack is an Underworlds warband, and now that's funny.
That's
not unique
true.
Anymore. Yeah.
They're not unique because of like the way that they're so dumb. You know what I mean? They got rid of the old Lord Skroak model. It's 31 or 32 years old now at this point, and they got rid of him. So now they're like, okay, well, the only way to get a Plague Priest on foot is to build a Screaming Bell and then to put him on a base. And it's a great looking model. Like, it's such an easy, simple solution. They could have just kept the Plague Priest around, but they're like, well, no, like we've got some kind of crazy mental gymnastics that we go through. We make up our own rules that we don't need to. So now we're going to discontinue that. There's no Plague Priest on foot. And now it's like, okay, well, what can we've already finished designing all the new Skaven models. What do we do? Okay, we're just going to add this unit that's basically a hero, but it's not going to be your hero. It's very confusing, but that is true. And I think we're going forward, we're going to see that because like Scabric's Plague Pack was a named character with its own unit, right? Was how it functioned in AOS 3, and now it's just a Plague Priest with homies or something. I forget what they call it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird space. It's like it's good in the game because like you don't have a hero and you can get recursion and all these other amazing things, and it's a priest. It's just like this is way better than a priest, than a regular priest. But I think we're gonna see that going forward, and I kind of hope we do. Like I feel like Underworlds, like I'm sure it's a great game, but I feel like most people that were buying it for AOS as either a proxy or to use in the game if it was actually good. So it'd be good if it was kind of
fan of Underworlds too. We just had two tournaments in the past 2 months at the shop as well.
Nice. It's a popular game for competitive play. And I guess obviously like I'm very circumstantially affected by the fact that like I did play Underworlds for a time, but you know what I mean? It faded off pretty quick. And now I've just I basically just done the same thing that I see all my friends doing, which is, I bought what's his name? For Gloomspite Gets, the little guy.
Zarbag,
thank you. I was like, I know it starts with a Z. I just wanted I saw Dale made him into a shaman, a regular shaman, madcap shaman, and then and I was just like, that's a great idea because he's on the right size base and everything else, right? Just didn't do anything else with that kit, but yeah,
they're good stand-ins for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, more than Zarbag, I hope Mollog gets added to Gloomspite, and I hope Grincrack because he was so flavorful, But
I like that warband too. I haven't painted it yet, but the Loon Court is pretty adorable.
They're so funny and flavorful. I really like them. I painted them up, and I never even used them in a single game. I just enjoy painting them. I wasn't sure, if I know you said you had to go, like you said, half an hour, 45 minutes. I just want to check and make sure you're okay. Yeah. I'm trying to be a good host.
yeah. Maybe I'll sign off in a second here. I just want to end with thanks for having me on and let me talk about the shop and the tournament. And I looking forward to Sunday. Also dreading Sunday, but
It'll
Hopefully
be
everyone
fun.
goes smoothly. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully everyone has a good time, and there'll be more in the future. Oh, I did want to mention as well. There's an Old World tournament at the shop going on October 20th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that one I'm not actually running. Someone came up to me and asked if they could use the space to host an event. So Benjamin.
Ben, I
Kresny,
knew it was Ben. I
Yeah,
knew it was Ben. That dude, man, he loves his Old World. Not Gath.
yeah. So he's running, helping us run the Old World event on October 20th, and I think there's 19 out of 20 spots taken. So one
Nice.
spot remaining for that. Yeah.
Nice. I'll yeah, we'll try and I'll try and remember to bring it up again. October 20th?
Yeah.
Okay. I should be, I'll try and if you shoot me a message, Arthur, I'll bring it up. Like if you shoot me a message on any random Tuesday, I'll bring it up again. I'd be happy.
Yeah, totally.
Happy
Yeah.
to, so.
Yeah, it's great. I like how all these communities are coming together at Richmond Reroll. It's
Absolutely.
going to be good, I think. I hope.
Richmond Reroll, what's the address? Oh, it's right there on the screen. 12191 Hammersmith Way, Unit 1220.
That's right. And for anyone coming on Sunday, FYI, we do have a coffee and snack bar in the shop.
Nice.
My partner, one of my partners, William, he makes a good iced coffee. He makes lattes. He does espresso, everything. There's a menu there.
Hell yeah. That's
so you don't have to go far for a snack and a drink. So Ironwood Plaza is very close by. I suggest driving there. It's like a 2-minute drive, but it's about a 15-minute walk if you're going to go there. But it has every food option that you can think of. And Fuggles and Warlock, the brewery, is right around the corner from us as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I know that when the Prince George crew came down, they were like ogling over the strawberry wit beer that we had from them at for Death. Yeah. Fuggles and Warlock.
Yeah.
Great brewery.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for having me, and
thanks for coming on.
And hope to maybe be on here again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Arthur.
Carson, I'll see you on Sunday.
Yep. See you on Sunday.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Bye.
What a good guy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nice to meet him. Well, sorry, I've already met him before, but it was nice to chat with him.
Nice to have him on. Yeah. You know what's funny about Richmond too? So like a lot of people, like locally, everyone knows this. I'm not going to impart any new information on anyone who's even remotely familiar with the Vancouver area, but I do have a funny story to kind of tell. I was talking to my neighbors who are from Hong Kong, and we had gotten some sushi for dinner or whatever, and they were just like, where did you go? And that kind of thing. Right. And I was just like, and I was asking them like, do you ever, go out and eat? And they were like, yeah, we go out and eat Chinese food. And I was like, really? Like, that's like, cause like, my wife's from Korea, so we usually don't go out and eat Korean food. We usually make Korean food. And so I was like, really? I was like, okay, well, where do you go? And he said, we only eat Chinese food that's in Richmond. Like, that's basically, if we're going to eat Chinese food, and it's not going to be like what we make at home, it's in Richmond. And because they have the best, like some of the best Chinese food outside of China in the world. It's literally incredible. I have so many stories about eating Chinese food in Richmond. Like, it's so good. So if you are up here and you're not from the area, get like a recommendation of a local Chinese restaurant. And
yeah, 100%. Because the tournament will be ending probably in time for dinner. So if you're looking for something, it's a great area to be. And if there's ever if it's a GT being hosted by Richmond Reroll, then there'll be plenty of opportunities to get dinner there too. So
that's true.
Great place for cuisine, for sure.
Absolutely. I did. By the way, I was keeping an eye on the chat, but I knew Arthur's time was limited, so I didn't want to. We didn't have enough time to get too off into the weeds like we normally do. I saw Ledificus's comment about what was it? Oh, you said Manglers wish they were Hell Pit. That's true. Manglers, they're not even on the menu of what is like takeable almost. They're like, I actually think that they're, I mean, they do have some utility for bouncing around. Like if you can keep them into really soft targets, they could bounce off into another combat to grab, you know what I mean? But they're just so points inefficient. Yeah, they're not great. Yeah, whatever, Pat, you deserve it. Thanks for joining us, by the way. And what was it? I saw something really funny earlier. Oh man. You talk for a bit, Carson. I'm trying to find a comment.
I think I saw Tom ask
Yes,
about
that was it.
Okay. But basically, what about the what was it? The Brood Horror?
The Brood Terror.
Brood Terror, sorry.
Yeah.
Being
Idiot.
300 points, which I think it just kind of falls under the same thing you were saying earlier, where like monsters are just kind of a little bit overcosted this edition right now, and they seem to kind of keep doing it, which is a little unfortunate. But
if you're looking for something competitive, you should look elsewhere. If you're looking for like an awesome model that you love that'll fit into like a nice Molder themed army, then you found it. It's really just that. I mean, and like it's rumored to be 300 points. We don't know yet. That's something that I've found. I believe it. I just like everything I'm seeing. It seems like all the monsters are overpointed. I think the Brood Terror is probably the most overpointed, unfortunately, like among those, because he just has less utility. You know, like I think Vizik's rumored 450 point price tag, I think is too much as well. But he has utility. So like if you are super careful with him, and like, you know, everyone, he's dying in virtually every battle report. But like, you know, like you could, if you play him well and you don't get matched up into something with like a decent shooting, you could keep him alive and he could probably earn his points. But it's not going to be as good as like 9 rat ogres or something. You know what I mean? Or even not even close to like 3 units of clan rats, which are probably the best, almost certainly the best thing in the book. So yeah.
Yeah.
Model
It's
looks
worth
so
mentioning, too,
cool.
that
It's
we're
unfortunate. Yeah. It's so true,
Yeah.
Tom.
It's worth mentioning that we are going to be doing like an actual Skaven book review
Thank you.
in the near future. Next week we're planning on doing a Sparkle Party Deathmatch tournament review and list review with John Zolshak, who's going to be coming on and talking with us about it. He is part of the Dimensional Cascade club that's kind of running it down in Seattle there. So that'll be fun. And then the week after that, I think, is when we're planning on doing the Skaven.
That's the plan. You know, at first I was kind of like, I was saying to Carson, like, I was kind of like, I really wanted to do the Skaven book right after. But then, like, thinking about it, it's like, okay, everyone's already done the quick slapdash reviews of it. Whereas if we wait like a week and a bit for once it's out, we'll be able to get some games in with it and actually, because like none of the reviews that are out now are people that have played many games with it, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I think that it's like it's kind of the same thing I've been thinking of for the Ogres index, where it's just like we don't actually like, this is like pre-balance, like true testing, I think, just because like there hasn't been a battle scroll yet. So I'm kind of looking to do that after the battle scroll comes out, the Ogres one. And I think that maybe giving it a little bit of time to simmer, because it's so similar to the index, makes sense for the Skaven one too. Because the more exposure you have to it, the more you're going to know how it actually differs. And then who knows, maybe there's going to be points changes from now until then. And or there almost definitely will be.
Yeah.
But
I hope so.
Yeah.
We were kind of expecting the battle scroll update to be a long-ish time ago. Based on like what Matt Rose and other people have said in the past, you know.
I think it was conflated with the balance patch, very small thing that happened.
Yeah, I think so.
Like I think a month after.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a patch. Like it was just like emergency like Band-Aid, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think it. Okay, so selfishly, I hope that the battle scroll doesn't come out this week and it comes out next week, so that the 2 tournaments that I'm going to are safe from me having to like scramble to make a new list, essentially.
Yeah.
But obviously for the community, it's better if it's earlier. Yeah.
Well, and you're probably staring down the barrel of like maybe some nerfs to gluttons and a few things, I would assume.
Yeah.
Hopefully they kind of like they also buff up other stuff that's kind of poopy, you know. I really want
That would
them
be
to.
nice.
I don't get why like can someone explain to me why they don't make like your new models like the better thing to take? Like why aren't like the mob
Maybe it's
pack?
like actively disproving that conspiracy theory of like,
Oh,
oh,
from
they're
back
new
in the
models.
day?
You gotta make them amazing, right?
They
Like,
don't do that. They
no.
don't do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like usually the stuff, you know, like clan rats have been the star of the show of Skaven. I was talking about this with Pat. Was it today? I can't remember. It was either today or yesterday. The days are bleeding together. But like how clan rats have always been the best thing in Skaven. Like from AOS 1, they've always been the best thing. You know, there's been a few stars of the shows like Plague Monks and early, you know, whatever, but no hamburger sticker? Not yet. You've already got one. It's there, Josh. Jeez. So hard to please. We're working on more. Or I'm working on more. You really want internal balance to tighten sooner rather than later? I totally agree with that. I think we all do. Like, internal balance, like, external balance being one thing. Like, I think for external balance, maybe like it's really only Night Haunt that people are really having a unfun time against.
External balance?
Yeah, like external balance. I don't know what I said.
I actually think there's a lot of things that people are having an unfun time against.
Okay.
It's
Like
probably.
what?
I actually think
I'm
that
not disagreeing.
there's 3 big armies, which are like Night Haunt for one is just like
Obviously.
the whole army kind of just seems like a little too much.
Yeah,
Which actually suffers from both internal and external balance
Yep.
issues. You kind of
Big
have
time.
one subfaction.
It even
And
has
then,
issues with freaking subfactions. It's just like internal balance. Like it's anyway. Sorry.
Yeah.
that's
Lumineth
what-
is another
Yep.
one.
That's another
Where,
big bad. Yeah.
especially like the foxes and the basically everything Huracan in that army is just oppressive, right? And if you have a really good player, like we've seen Tom Guan do extremely well with that army, and I've played against that army a couple times, and it's just not fun actually. Like it's one of those armies where you're just like, this is a struggle, and normally I enjoy really like struggly games where it's like back and forth and it could go anywhere, but it's a struggle in like all of the worst possible ways. I'm not doing it, Josh. I don't have access to a cheeseburger.
We'll explain that in a
normally-
minute. Thank you, Josh. That's very kind.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things that's just purely unfun. Just like non-interactive whatsoever. It's like jump
Purely
shoot jump in a
unfun.
melee game. Like, how does that make any sense, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's true. It's like they're trying to tone down shooting. It's like, oh yeah, you made something way more cancerous in the jump shoot jump now. Whatever,
and then the third thing is actually ogres. I think I don't like what they do to ogres.
I wanted to guess the third one, and I wasn't going to guess ogres actually.
Okay, yeah,
because like I haven't
could
heard
keep
people
going down a list
complaining.
of like spam problems for sure. But
Yeah, but I mean, overall armies, I actually have not had people complaining to me directly about ogres. It's actually the other one that I was complained to mostly was actually about Slaves to Darkness, your other army that you don't really play, but just like they're fast, they're hard to kill, and they kill really well, and they have really great cavalry. And it was just like I just heard and like not all of them were brand new players, but I think most of them, the people that I'm trying to, I don't want to name names, but like like I've heard anyway. I've had some people. That was going to be my third guess. I didn't think it was ogres because like ogres is like a problem of like they are very killy, they are fast, but they're just wounds. Like you throw a lot of attacks at them. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously they're good enough that they're tearing up the tournament scene to a certain extent. So,
I don't think that ogres are. I think they're different in that like they're not oppressive in a way that's like annoying, I guess. Because ogres are just like it's just a tidal wave of meat, and if you can deal with it, you can deal with it. If you can't, you can't.
that
But
sounds like a Carson army to me.
Yeah, and but the thing with Nighthaunt is that it's kind of the same thing, except they get a bunch of other things too. Where they're like, oh, by the way, I have this like teleporter, that teleports in your turn, and you literally can't touch them. Oh, by the way, I've got my entire army runs and charges. Oh, by the way, I've got a 4 ethereal save. Like, there's just so many extra things. You're like, why
you
do you
didn't
get
even
all?
add the other stuff in there. You're like, oh, by the way, my whole army runs and charges, and retreats and charges, and
Yeah,
charges
exactly.
in combat.
Yeah, and then with Lumineth, I actually think Lumineth is a really interesting example because Lumineth has great internal balance. Actually, Lumineth,
Okay.
there are a ton of. Oh, thank you so much, Braden. That's insane.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yo, Carson. I mean, sorry, I started reading the message.
After playing against Carson all the weekend on TTS, can confirm Carson is too good and needs to be nerfed. Okay.
Yep. It's the mustache.
I'm sorry.
Brayden, thank you so much. That's really very kind. The secret to beating Carson, and this is true, Carson does not want me to say this. It's to compliment him. If you compliment him, he will fold like an old cookie.
But it can't be ingenuine. There's been times where people have caught on and they're like, "Oh, you're so
That's
pretty
true.
and smart." I'm just like, I don't believe you at all. And
Yeah,
now you're just being a dick. And
Now
I'm
it's
gonna...
coming across as sarcastic. I'm back
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
people.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what I was saying about Lumineth is that like there's actually a bunch of different playstyles that work pretty well for Lumineth. You have the wind chargers like Huracan side of things. You've got like people are bringing a lot of sentinels. You can have like a techless list. You can have a bunch of blade lords. Like there's a bunch of different options that you have, and because they do like the whole facets of war thing, and all of their sub factions are related to just locking into one, it allows them to kind of like pick and choose different parts of the index, and it actually kind of works. It's just that it's maybe it's a little too overtuned, and also the Huracan side of things is built frustratingly for people to deal with. Right.
Huracan meaning like the wind jumpy kangaroo people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex has the right idea. He says, I plan to lose to Carson so much that his ego gains too much mass and becomes a black hole. That checks out. By the way, I've used the same webcam on this podcast since its inception. And like 1 or 2 episodes ago, it started tracking my movements. All of a sudden, I didn't even know it could do that. I have not changed it. I haven't even
Maybe
unplugged the damn thing. What's that?
Maybe it's Google.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
It's Skynet?
Yep.
Well,
That's right. Like I have a webcam that I know just does that, but
Necrons are awesome. I just want to say Necrons are awesome. Machines are great. Love you, AI. Don't kill me. Moving right along. Now that I've paid homage. Josh says, I played against Slanesh as ogres and I was wiped. Why ogres hit on 4, just 1 minus... Oh, yeah, he was saying why about why they're... Carson thinks they're OP, even though they're his main army. Ogres hit on a 4, or why? Ogres hit on a 4, just 1 minus 1 to hit, and it sucks. That's true. Like, minus 1 to hit is very strong, because, like, most armies are hitting on 4s now. Hitting on 3s is actually pretty rare.
yeah.
And if you're hitting on 3s, you're usually wounding on 4s. So, yeah, it's kind of... It's a good addition to be like minus 1 to hit.
Yeah, I think if you think about like what is causing you to be minus 1 to hit, if you think of like specific instances of where those are coming from, it's often tied to either one specific unit or a form of immobility.
Or it's like random, like the Screaming Bell. It's like you might get it, you might not. Like
even if you get it on the Screaming Bell's not the fastest thing in the world, right?
No.
And there are ways that you can... So the nice thing about ogres is that they're extremely fast now. You can close a gap of basically the quarter of the table pretty easily and then charge in, and you can kind of like... You can have units that are starting 36 inches apart from each other and converge onto one single point just because... They can like sprint so fast in a diagonal line towards like one single opponent as long as that butcher's in the center of them.
Right.
So you have this insane speed, for being able to get around. And then you have scalpel tools like the Stonehorn. Oftentimes, the -1 to hit is basically from, like, let's say someone's Venari, so they're like wardens or blade lords or something like that, which move not very fast and they're pretty static and they have to be part of a castle. Or if you're playing like against Gits, it's that 12-inch bubble of Holy Within, and there's a way to get around it. You
Against
win on the
Gits, wait, wouldn't don't the regular goblins have -1 to hit on their war scroll as well?
maybe, but no one plays them, so it doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
But
before I forget, super quick, hold that thought. Jason Mangelson asked a very good question, and we can't forget to answer it. He said, how is there 20 people currently watching and only 14 likes? There's 24 people currently watching. And the reason I actually know the answer to this question is because we never bring it up. So with that in mind, if you guys are enjoying this show so far, if you're not subscribed already, we would love to click that subscribe button and hit the like it. And then that way it's more likely to pop up in your feed. Now, Carbson, what were you talking about in terms of, like, you're basically saying, like, it's not that big a deal. The -1 to hit you find avoidable. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's not even that it's avoidable as well. It's that you win on positioning almost every time as ogres.
Right.
The only time it kind of stresses that is when you're playing against an army that's just as fast as you are. So, like, Night Haunt can be a problem because they're running and charging everywhere. Stormcats can be a bit of an issue because they can be shooting you and running and charging and stuff like that. I think that another thing is that ogres have such high volume of attacks that you can actually just punch through. Like, I remember the first game I played against Dale, I was kind of stressing in my brain. I was just like, oh god, like, his whole army's Venari. What am I going to do? He's got this big block of sentinels that's going to shoot the crap out of me with counter shoot and stuff like that. And because they're -1 to hit, I'm just not going to be able to pass the DPS checks. And then I just whipped like 8 Iron Guts and 12 Gluttons at him, and then it was just such high volume of attacks that it just, like, murdered his front line, essentially.
Right. You need less to get through. I mean, like, they're pretty damaging attacks too. So
yeah, a game over the weekend I played against Zeech, and almost most of the time it's going to be that you're -1 to wound because you're burning or something like that, and they've got that specific sub faction, as well as if they've got a Lord of Change, the demons are going to be -1 to hit. And I put Iron Guts into Kairos, and with one activation, accounting for -1 to hit and wound, they still did 39 damage to him. Like, it doesn't matter if you're able to space out your charges well enough. Like, it doesn't really matter. And chances are, if you're having to overextend into something that's already -1 to hit, it's kind of like a positioning mistake. It's less so that thing is too powerful, I suppose, right? Because a lot of the power that you get is that with ogres, you can kind of be like, you do a tactic that kind of just puts you slightly closer to your opponent, but really not that close. And they're like, there's been a couple games now where my opponent's like, I don't even know what to do, because they chose to give me the first turn, and I just put a wall of meat slightly closer to them, and it's just satisfied my tactic. And they can't do seize the center because I'm going to counter charge them. They can't do take the flanks because I've got like 6 ogres on either side. They can't do like take their land or anything like that, and it's just impossible to really deal with because it's just so much volume of wounds and attacks. So that's the way that ogres can be frustrating, I think, for people.
I could see that. I think that was a good breakdown too, by the way. Jim said, I never miss a like. It may be after the show, but no judging, please. Thanks, bye. Yeah, you know what I started doing for that kind of thing was I actually, before, like, if it's a channel that I know I'm going to like, I'm not saying we're that channel, but like, so like Red Letter Media, like, I was just like, I want them to always be popping up in my inbox. And so I just hit like, and then I watch the video. And I found that way, some stuff literally never doesn't pop up for me. Because, like, YouTube's kind of fickle with that stuff. Like the notification bell is, like, way less important than consistently liking stuff, I've noticed, in terms of... And, like, I used to always talk about the notification bell, but also because I get to call it the screaming bell, whatever. But, yeah, that's, like, a tip for anyone who, if you want to make sure, like, that the stuff that you really like, if you want to see, like, every episode of Red Letter Media or whatever, just hit like first, and then that way, I always get their videos or whatever else I'm into, you know. But AOS Coach is one that I hit like and then watch the video. Yeah. My camera's just like, I feel like it's just only zooming in. It's not zooming out. Stop it.
It keeps getting closer to you.
That did nothing. It just blurred me out. What the hell?
Rob, with anti-aliasing now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I always turn off the blur effect in like first person shooters and stuff like that. I don't know. Actually, can you explain to me why they have that? Like, what's the purpose of blur?
Because sometimes you can get like pretty bad looking, like if you have a big monitor and you're on like 1920 by 1080p or something like that, and something's moving, you get these kind of waves of lines going down the screen. Instead of if it's all blurred, then it kind of turns it into this like amorphous blob, which can look better, but yeah, it depends. There's upsides and downsides, but at the end of the day, a blur is extra post-processing that has to happen, and it is performance on your game. So if you want to turn it off, it probably helps.
That's funny. I don't like it. Like,
yeah, no, a lot of people don't.
Like there isn't, like when I like look to the left and look to the right, there's no blur. There's no blur that happens, and so like I don't know. It makes me feel like almost motion sick or something. I'm not sure, but like
I think it's because like when you're looking to the left and right in a game, it's supposed to be that like you're not looking with your eyes, you're like rotating your entire head, and when that is the case, there is actually blur.
There is, but not like there is in a game though. When you have blur on, it's just not. Anyway, I don't like it. I'm glad to know that it actually does help the processing or whatever. That like performance wise, it's actually better. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep. Same thing with any of those like grainy filters that you have, like film grain on a game. Anything that's like not just basic models in the game is like extra post processing or lighting that needs to happen. That's reducing the performance overall. Maybe not by much, and maybe it's like trivial, but
I'm sure it's not the same. It's not as good as like anti-aliasing or VSync or whatever being turned off, but anything that helps is probably a good thing. Ladivica says, I click like as soon as I log in. I know there's going to be a satisfactory amount of nonsense. I really like Red Letter Media too, Ladivica. I'm glad we share that.
Yeah. No, definitely not talking about this channel.
He couldn't be talking about this channel.
Yeah. Like, speaking of nonsense, Red Letter Media put out that like paranormal investigation.
I know. I haven't finished it. Don't spoil it.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, it's fun so far though. I'm like, I've just been so busy that I just haven't had a chance. Like I finished painting. Actually, it reminds me. I'll put my clan rats back up. Oh, actually, I meant to talk about this too, real quick. They're coming out with. Did you see these plushies? God, it's so bright. It's so bright. There we go. Okay. Okay. They're coming out with these plushies. These are not the best things they could have picked, right? So the only I can tell when you log in and see this stuff. For Age of Sigmar, sorry, the Tyranid Ripper is practically perfect. Like if I were to choose one thing, it would for Tyranids, it might be that. I think that's probably what I would pick because it's just like the cutest thing, you know? But I would have loved to have seen a rat with some warpstone for Age of Sigmar. Now I get that with the Nurgling wearing the helmet, they can double dip between AOS and 40k, and the Purple Sun is only for AOS, and it's kind of more general use. But we're in AOS 4. It's the Skaven edition. You give us Griffhounds before many times in the past. Give me a rat with Warpstone. Thank you.
Would you actually buy it if they came out with that?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I
made my own, Carson. See this Warpstone that he's holding? Oh, you can't really because it's blurring into the background for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't have a green screen behind me, but the green Warpstone is turning into the Skaven dimension. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. You dare try to cover up the Council of 13?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, Skaven Jesus. It was not my intention.
Yeah. Also, Bear says the only purple sun available to order from GW. True.
Oh, shots fired. Who said that?
Bear
Bear?
Chills.
Oh man. That was good. That was
Yep. The
shot
worst
across
part
the
is too
bow.
is that you can't actually find a proper purple sun base to like put it on if you wanted to like buy the plushie and be fun like that. Because
it's like
the base
custom
sizes
size.
for all of them are like random.
That's true.
Yeah.
How big are these though? Like I think it's probably way too big
Yeah, it is
anyway,
probably
and
way
like
too
it would flop over. But you like if anyone needs it, like if you want like I can trace out my purple sun's base, or you can get like your friends or something like that. But yeah, I didn't realize that they were still at
if you want to.
You could what?
You could cut it out of cardboard if you want to.
That's true, and just write purple sun on it, and then enter a tournament like an awful human being. Yeah, you could do that. That's true.
Yeah, only the worst TOs would allow that at their tournament, though.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Buy it, he'd sleep with it at nightly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. True story. Like after Street Fighter 6 came out, right? My son got into Street Fighter for the first time, and he plays Blanca, and it's that was my first character in Street Fighter 2 back in the day. And they came out with Street Fighter 6, like there's like a whole storyline with Blanca where he sells these little plushies, and he's like internationally popular with these Blanca plushies or whatever, and he uses them in the game now. It's really awesome. So the collector's edition, only to be bought and found in Japan, what do you call it? Comes with like a Blanca-chan. And my son got one for his birthday last year. And at Christmas, I crumbled, and I was just like, I need one too. Like, this isn't fair. I've been playing this character for over 30 years. You know? It's not fair. So I got one too. So, but if there was a Skaven, yeah, try and stop me. Yeah, Blanca-chan, it's so awesome. In the game too, it's like the coolest mechanic ever. Anyway, I'll stop talking about Street Fighter for now.
It's a bingo square. Make sure you fill it out, people. Rob talks about Street Fighter.
One of these days, we need to make one. Like
an actual bingo?
Yeah, I'm actually completely serious. Like an actual bingo for the podcast. Like maybe like for the end of the year. Like remember how last year I made like a Skaven crossword puzzle? I can't remember if I did it for Christmas or not. That was my intention. I don't remember what happened. We'll do like a Christmas episode or whatever, and then like either before or after Christmas, and then we could do like a drinking bingo thing. Yeah,
that'd be fun.
It's
an eggnog. Have to excuse ourselves to the washroom immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Like half the people involved with this podcast are lactose intolerant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do we feel about like doing an episode from the bathroom is my first question.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. That's just like the height of class right there. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably just have whiskey if it's okay, but it will be in a Skaven glass because I have two of them. Yeah. Oh, shoot. So, yeah. So those are the plushies coming out. I think that this is awesome. Oh, I wanted to ask everyone, does anyone know where you get these from? Like, can you get these plushies from your like local store that has Warhammer? Or like, what's the deal? If anyone knows, I would love to get the scoot on that. And then, I did finally finish painting my clan rats. They took way too long. I meant to set it onto auto. Manual, automatic. Done. Hopefully that will change automatically, as I was promised by Streamlabs, but it is a liar sometimes. Nice, it's going. Okay. I'm not doing anything. They had them at the Open Series store. Okay, that's great to know, Dale. But that's only like the GW tournament, hey? Yeah, if any of you guys, I really want a Ripper. I love Tyranids. Thank you. Thanks, Josh. I was painting them for way too long. Like, they don't look good enough considering how long it took me to paint them. I learned a lot. And I think I can do it faster next time because that's only 20. And I am planning on painting 120 of the new clan rats. Because I need to have a proper Skaven army. You know, I painted 100. I had 120 painted clan rats of the old ones. And then I started like going back and redoing them. And it was, you know, that was a huge mistake. Especially considering that I was going to get new clan rats later on. But I learned a lot, and I'm hoping that I can do a lot quicker. But I'm getting way more jiggy with the basing and stuff too. Like I painted all like the like those little tiny branches and stuff like that, and like I started painting all the stone steps. Like the stone steps were like a 5 or 6 step process, and each one of them has like 2 or 3 little flagstone things. And I was just like, man, this is too much. But I think I will be quicker next time. I made a huge mistake. I was trying to do, Byron from Artist Opus. He like did this really cool technique with dry brushing cloth that I wanted to try. And I did it, but then I got purple all over my clan rats. And you kind of have to dry brush their fur. And you can't really see it because like I did like a darker fur this time, but it ended up being like way more work than it was worth. So yeah. What's my clan called? That's so funny. I was just talking about this. So I was talking about with Jason because I like to write like a story and like lore and whatnot for my clan. So I made my own custom symbol just recently. This is on like Saturday or Sunday night. And it's going to be the same clan. I was thinking about making a new clan because I'm painting them like different colors now. Like at first I was painting them all blue, and then I didn't like McCrag blue and like the Skaven fur brown. Like they don't go together. Like it's like there's a reason why color wheels are a thing. You know what I mean? And so I repainted them so that like each clan had its own colors. Like there was like red for Verminous and blah, 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 blah. But now I really want to have a cohesive look. So I made a whole new, like, I'm painting like the whole army all over again. And they're called Clan Deep Gnaw. They originated in Gur. And they were one of those Skaven clans that like gnawed and like drilled into like a deepkin ocean and like released an ocean. So they were basically at war with my deepkin, and they've got like a whole storyline together. And then I added what's it called? The now I'm added like this clan. This is a splintering off of my original Skaven. So they're all purple and teal for the cloth, and then Warpstone, of course, for the green. And they are at war with my Seraphon, which are on the island of Jeju-do in Gairan. So this is also Clan Deep Gnaw. They've got a new symbol. It's based off of Clan Creepus, which is an Eshin clan from the old world. And I really like it because it's a Skaven symbol with a blade on the end that goes down, and it looks like a freaking R. And I'm just like, okay, Gracier Rob. This makes Gracier Rob very happy. I added a little arrow, so I made it my own, and I added a little arrow on the one side, so that it's like, because it's Clan Deep Gnaw, so they've drilled into the earth, right? Anyway, I can get like a more, what do you call it? Focused, like I'll take a picture of the symbol. Maybe I'll draw it out or something like that. But yeah. Anyway, I had a lot of fun painting them. I did the leader. Sorry, Keith, I did see that. I did the leader's blade, the banner bearer's symbol at the top, and the bell. You can see it right now, actually. All like a glowing warpstone. So that way I can find them easier, and I know not to remove them from the pack. But yeah, and Josh said, I like the neon glow feature. Thank you so much. I've kind of figured out how I like to do my warpstone now, and I'm really happy with it, to be honest. But Keith gifted a membership, and it was received by Casey. Thank you so much, Keith. That's really nice of you. Our memberships are like, thanks to you and Braden and all these kind people that have generously donated what do you call it, gift memberships.
Saw Big Ron did earlier in the show too.
Big Ron, did I miss that one? Did I not?
Oh, I think we saw it.
Okay, good. Oh yeah, that's right. That was Big Ron. Thank you, of course. But yeah, thanks to you guys. Thanks to all these amazing donations for memberships. Our memberships have gone up about 10 times to what they were before. I'm not sure. Maybe not quite that much. I mean, I guess not quite that much since AOS 4, but like since where we were starting with them, certainly about 10 times the amount. So thank you so much. And all the people, not just the people who gift, but people who just subscribe into memberships for the channel. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, because like it tells YouTube like, hey, you can advertise these people because like they bring in money for YouTube. Like they are active members of the community and they have, attachment to us and whatnot. But so thank you again. Dale says, Rob, should I read this? Oh, okay. Rob, look at chat. Tap Games sells the stuffies if you search Toby. Thank you so much. I must have missed that. Sorry. Once someone asked me about my clan, it was that we all knew what was going to happen, right? Like, let's be honest. Tap Games. Okay. It was you, Dale. Thank you so much. Thank you for pointing that out. I love Taps. I bought stuff from them. They are in Alberta, and I will get it from them. If my local store, I often go to Magic Stronghold. They've been very good to me, very good to this channel. So, I usually get my stuff from them. So I will, if they don't get it, I'll get it from Taps. I've been meaning to place an order with them anyway, because they have some other stuff that I want, some hobby stuff.
Yeah. You walk into the store and say, if I can't get it from you, I'll get it from somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thanks. See you next Saturday when my Skaven stuff comes
anyway,
out.
let me know when you get that order in. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. That does sound like me. One does not simply disrupt Rob when he is on a Skaven fluff deep dive. Yeah. This is Keith knows. Dale, you should know better too, frankly. I expect more from you, but thank you again. There had to be a background. There is way more to this background. That was me keeping it short, believe it or not. Patreon is still better than a 2 membership. So Patreon, I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. Like before that was the case, because, what are you doing, Carson? Why would you type that into YouTube? No, can you please take that back?
Has a point. Keith has a point.
What was Keith? Just that
because Ludificus says, can they answer that truthfully on YouTube? And then Keith says Carson can, because then YouTube will be mean to him, and thus he will win every game ever from now on.
Oh,
that is why I said Patreon is better.
I see.
Never give YouTube a dime. That's true. Ever.
Okay, no, I'm not saying. But now you're saying it on the air, you idiot. I don't care what you do in tournament. The channel is what's important here. Yes, no, Carson is an idiot. Saga of Dice YouTube loves YouTube. YouTube is the best. In all seriousness, we have not talked about it. Before, like, Patreon was better because YouTube definitely takes more money, but YouTube memberships, like, from what I understand, YouTube algorithms look at that kind of thing. They look at like attachment rates and different things like that. And so like, I mean, we've only consistently lost money on this channel, so so it really is mostly about just building a bigger and more community, essentially. So I think at this point, like, again, we haven't talked about this at all, so clearly not. I think we're leaning towards YouTube membership now.
Yeah,
right.
I think that definitely helps us a lot. If for some reason you want to like donate to the channel in some way, which we're extremely appreciative of, actually, Ko-fi, the service that we used for what's it called, the Stream PC Fund, takes the least cut out of any of the things possible. Like that's purely for like supporting content creators type of thing. So if you wanted to ever do something like that, like that's like the best spot cut wise.
I think for us to go for Ko-fi though, we need am I pronouncing it right, by the way? Okay. If we're gonna do Ko-fi, I think what we need to do is like figure out a way of hooking it up to like Nightbot or something like that. Because like when, and I'm not saying this to be a dick or anything, but like you want your stuff to appear on screen. Like when you do something like that, you want like, it's just more fun. And it's like I was talking about it with Carson and Kenrick not that long ago, but like I have a Twitch membership to a local fighting game guy, super nice guy from Alberta, and he's just like a pillar of the community, and he's a great teacher about fighting games and whatnot. His name is Vesper Arcade, by the way, and he and like what I like what you like about supporting a channel is when you get that interaction. You know what I mean? Like he's got like, so in, again, I'm going to reference Street Fighter, but like in Street Fighter, like you go up, there's like iron or like rookie, iron, bronze league, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, silver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, platinum, diamond, etc. And then the final thing is Master League, right? So, but on his channel, when you're like within the first 3 months, you've got like a little like bronze kind of symbol. Oh no, it's white at first, and then it goes bronze, and then silver, and then gold, and then now like I've been a subscriber to over two years to him, so my symbol is like diamond, now, and so like I got into diamond or whatever, and then the people in the chat were like, "You got into diamond? Congrats, man! Like, what character do you play?" And I was like, "No, I'm in Master League for freaking my character in Street Fighter. I meant on the channel, I got into diamond." Whatever. And like he even said like, "Congrats on diamond" or whatever. It's really dumb, but it's fun, and like I just want that interaction, So, so yeah, like I think if we're gonna do Ko-fi, man, what a long thing to talk about. I think we need to like hook it up, and then Ko-fi could be probably a better thing. Maybe it would even replace Patreon. Patreon's so bad for like interaction, which is the one thing I don't like. Finding a way to talk about Street Fighter a second time should be a bingo card. That's gotta be like a corner piece. You know what I mean? That's a hard one to get. Yeah, that's a hard one. That's what she said. Yeah, yeah, because like Rob talking about Street Fighter at this point. No, what do you think? What's the center square? Is it me mentioning Skaven?
Tech problems.
Tech problems?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want people to lose. No, because like we've kind of eliminated a lot of them now. You want it to be the free. It needs to happen.
Confident.
It needs to happen every time, though. That's the thing. Me mentioning Skaven or Street, like I think Skaven is probably the safest thing.
Yeah, Skaven is probably the safest thing. I think you could have like two center squares where like number one is we reference the meat dimension in some way. Number two is you either mention something about Street Fighter or Skaven for sure.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I saw it zoom in that time. Huh.
Yeah, it's doing it now. I did like the electric slide the other day. I was just like, yeah, see? Okay, let's start over here. A little more. A little more. And then over here. Yeah. It looks like I've got like a giant lazy Susan and I'm just spinning the whole table around or something. But does it zoom in? It does now! What? I've got the Skyrim! I got the Skyrim camera mod.
Yeah. Just go back and just.
I haven't like. See, I don't. I don't know the ways. Okay, nonsensical Skyrim. That could be another square. By the way, I think one of the squares should be Carson twirls his mustache, but
Yeah.
you would need to point it out in the chat because he is definitely not conscious of doing it.
No.
Yeah, like what a stupid thing to even insinuate. What? I will cancel my Patreon and sign up for the YouTube membership. That's really kind, Keith. We appreciate everything. That's really nice. And I missed another one. Yo, Keith, you didn't have to be that quick. Damn it. My comment isn't going to reach him in time. Thank you so much for being the highest level of YouTube membership. A freaking harbinger. Wow. Thank you so much, Keith. That's really kind. And like that's the other thing.
Rat symbol next to him now.
Yeah, exactly. You got the rat symbol, and the cool thing is that what I'm one of the reasons that I like YouTube membership is because now it's the emotes. Like I worked pretty hard on those emotes, and I'm making more, and I just think it's super fun and a funny thing to use. That's the free one. Is definitely Carson touching his mustache. See, I don't even notice it though. That's the thing. Like, I don't even notice it. So you would have to call it out, like the first time it happens or something, right? Oh, thanks, Sean. Yeah, I got into Master League with Judy. I forget. I can't remember if I talked about it on the podcast, but it was the day after I played Snake Eyes on his stream and got destroyed.
Also, I think that Rob correctly pronouncing a Japanese word or name is also a square on bingo, for sure. Like,
screw you.
Putting in A+ effort into
Screw
it.
you. Judy is a Korean character.
Regardless.
Holy shaka. I don't always do that, by the way. I was watching or listening to, when I was putting the stream together, I was listening to, Conan O'Brien and that guy, he's really obnoxious. And I forget. He's
Jordan
the guy.
Schlansky?
What's that?
Jordan Schlansky?
That's it. Jordan Schlansky. And he was like, he was talking about he was saying like Conan was saying like, yeah, we went to Firenze or whatever. He like even tried to like say it like sort of right. He was like, it's Firenze or something like that. And I was just like, shut up. Like, God dang it. Like, I have never told anyone to pronounce a Japanese or Korean word correctly. I don't think you even should, by the way. Like, what are you going to say? Like, are you going to say like, yeah, I'm going to karate class? No, that sounds stupid. You know what I mean? Like we have the word in English now. Karate is a word in English. Like, ugh. Talk about the ick. I don't even know like really what that word means, but I know when I'm listening to Jordan Schlansky.
Ick?
Brutal. Yeah.
Ooh, man. Yep.
Yeah. But that interview is super funny. So if you're looking for something to listen to for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
there was one with like someone took over his podcast and oh shoot, I can't remember. But like it was the guy, Ted Danson took over, and they had Ted Danson, Woody Harrelson, and someone else. And it was really good. There's been a couple of longer form episodes too that are just really funny and interesting. Anyway, sorry. Tangent. We could have a Rob K-pop reference. But the thing about that, though, is that I mostly listen to K-hop. I mostly listen to Korean hip-hop. So what if it's like, does K-hop, is that included in K-pop? Because I don't usually talk about K-pop. So that would be a hard one to get.
You'd also have to know K-pop, unless you were explicitly explaining that you're talking
That's
about
true.
K-pop.
That's true. I like where your head is at, though. Like, Ledivicus clearly showing the love. Like, that is true love. Like, that's the passion we always say in the fighting game community. Just say.
Yep. I also like that Big Run Big Rod comes into the chat for the first time in 45 minutes just to say the word podcast. Just
Yo,
Gone.
what? Man, what an amazing. Oh, and someone earlier said what it is. What was it?
What it is, Jumbos? Yeah.
Jumbos. That was so godlike. What an entrance. I love that. Gotta have a few hard ones that K-hop and K-pop could be the same. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It could just be labeled K-hop / K-pop. Rob gives away his weeb credentials square. I don't understand the square bit. But, yeah, I mean, I would fight you on that. I would say I'm actually a Koreaboo, but fine. I accept that.
Rob's more of an otaku. He's not as much of a weeaboo, to be honest.
I definitely turned that way, haven't I? I remember, like, in high school in Japan, there was some people who lived in the dorm, and like part of their class, because like there was like an English specialty class or whatever at my school. Obviously that we weren't a part of, and they had like this side thing where they would like do like culture type explanations to the foreign kids, and otaku was like one of the first things that we learned about back in 1998. You know, was they were explaining what otaku means. Sean asked, "Who do I main in Street Fighter 6?" It's Judy. The great thing about maining Judy is I get to say I play an evil Korean woman, and I'm also married to one. Like, that's awesome. You know? Like, dual credentials. It works both ways. I've actually played her since she came out in Super Street Fighter 4, which I believe debuted in 2012, but it might be 2011. Great character. She's actually like the most popular. What's that? Sorry.
So 2012, the year the world ended.
Yes, that's true.
Remember
According to
that?
the Mayan calendar. I do remember that. She's actually like the most popular new character they've ever made. Like, you know, Ryu, Chun-Li, like Akuma, you know, like there's a few like really popular characters, but they brought her in and she was instantly popular. My secondary is Asma, my feet chick. Yeah. The Quentin Tarantino fans are really into her. But my secondary would probably be Blanca still, but I also play Zangief, Bison, Cammy. There's more. Play a little Guile, also known as Guile. Yeah. Oh, Akuma. Yeah. He just came out not that long ago. Terry comes out. First ever guest character is coming to Street Fighter 6 next week, and it's Terry from Fatal Fury series. So, Terry Bogart. And we're getting Mai as well. But my best matchup as Sim. Yes. Sim is where was one of the characters I struggle with the most, actually. Dalsim. The guy from India. The yoga master who's all about peace, but he has human skulls around his... For those who've seen the... have you seen that?
Peaceful skulls.
The peaceful skulls. Yeah. There's an episode... Have you seen Street Fighter Red Tape with...
Pete Holmes?
Yes, Pete Holmes. Yeah. The one with... what's his name? He does Dalsim. He's like a famous...
Oh, is it Kumail Nanjiani?
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't come up with his... the first name. Like, I know him. He actually was in a movie... that I think is based on his real life, because he's from like Pakistan, and he's like a stand-up comedian, or formerly a stand-up comedian, I guess. And I don't remember the name of it. Is it like something like, was it Big Fish or something weird like that? But it's like a romantic comedy, and it's really good. It's really, really good. And I think it's based on his actual life, about his wife, you know, not being from Pakistan, and like his like dealing with that with his family, who only wanted him to marry a Pakistani woman. Yeah, It's really funny and it's heartwarming. So if you're looking for an easy watch, I'd recommend it.
Neat.
Yeah. I'm like,
Really, yeah, I saw him. Well, I've seen him in a lot of stuff, but I distinctly remember him from Silicon Valley, where he was really good too.
right. I've only seen like bits and pieces of Silicon Valley, but I've never like watched it the whole way through. What's
good
his
show.
name?
Yeah.
Jimmy, the Asian guy.
Oh, in the show he's Jin Yang, but it's
Yes.
Jimmy.
Chang.
I don't know.
Ah, man, he's funny though. He's got his own stand up as well, and he's really funny.
Jimmy Yang.
Yang, dang it. Anyway, Bison is super scary. Bison is dumb. He's so easy to play. He's crazy. Yeah. I can literally talk about Street Fighter all night. Oh, Big Ron was saying love playing Bison. Yeah. Yeah, he's super fun. I like playing him too. And his game plan is so like easy and like he's just fun, you know. Once you get up to the higher level, he becomes quite difficult, but yeah. Big Ron, man after my own heart. He's like it's the best design they've ever made for him, in my opinion. He's so much fun. You seen the live action spoof about life after Street Fighter, and Zangief is a janitor and broken down, then runs into Dal Sim, who's a cab driver using his power to help make people make a sharp turn. Oh, yes, I have seen that. It's been a long time though. Wow. Yeah, the right. Oh man, that's a good one. Yeah. I was thinking of the Red Tape with Pete Holmes, as you said, but yeah. That whole thing is great. Like the guy who plays Ken, you know, he's just like a surfer, and he's just like, so what do you do differently? And he's just like, I throw fireballs, you know. And he's just like, but we already have Ryu for that, or they call him Ryu because that's what everyone called him in the '90s or whatever. And he's like, I've got a dragon punch, and he's like, Ryu has a dragon punch, and he's like, well, I practice karate, and he's like, Ryu does that as well. He's like, you're just a blonde Ryu. We don't need you. And he calls Blanca a monster, and he's like, I'm not a monster. And he's like, you have talons like a monster. So they were gonna like force him to be in a crate beneath the airplane or whatever. Anyway, I'm spoiling it, but it's godlike. Look it up. It's all on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Street Fighter Red.
I distinctly remember the one that you brought up where when it was announced that I was either after last year's
Atlanta.
World Championships or something. Yeah. When you were talking about how like they're talking about organizing like the Street Fighter, like where they're actually going to host it kind of thing, and they're just like, it's going to be in like a mountain temple in the sky where there's fire and spirits of the dead and stuff like that. It's like, well, we're thinking of somewhere cheaper, maybe Atlanta, somewhere more central. Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want Chun-Li to go fight Ryu in Japan, and I want Guile to go fight Dalsim in India. And he's like, yeah, but then we're flying all of them to every location each time they fight in the streets. Like, what if we just, you know, did it at the Ramada at Atlanta or whatever? And then Bison's like, and he gets like the blue. Anyway, I'm spoiling it again. It's super awesome. Yeah. Oh dear. Okay. Sorry. Like it's those kinds of things though that are actually great to do while you're hobbying and whatnot. But yeah, other hobbies aside, I actually haven't been playing Street Fighter at all lately. I've just been super busy, but I probably will find the time once Terry comes out next week. Just imagine how much of Rob's desk would levitate if they made a Skaven Street Fighter character. My God. Yeah, the Venn diagram of like that would like nail me like in almost every single interest that I have. Yeah, like he would be like a Ratman character would actually be a really great Darkstalkers, which is like a movie monster kind of fighting game, also made by Capcom. They had like a vampire, and he's kind of like the Ryu, and then they have John Talbane, and he's like a kung fu werewolf. or whatever. I mean, he's not really like, he doesn't like, he pulls out nunchucks at the end, but anyway, they have like a Frankenstein character and a Sasquatch character who's from Canada actually. And like, yeah, anyway, that's a really good series as well. But yeah. Now you want to watch the Street Fighter Van Damme movie? That's a huge mistake, but it is hilarious. Yeah. If you're looking for a laugh. Yeah. I haven't seen it in so long though, but I know it doesn't hold up. That's the only thing I know for sure. Because it was never good. That's the answer. There was a YouTube, I think it was a YouTube show called like Street Fighter Legends. And it was like made by just like some guy. And he put it out on the internet. And it's like Ryu and Ken training with their master and whatnot. And it was really good. It was really, really good. I've been zoned out for most of this rant, but it's okay. I'm sorry. Well, back to Warhammer. Actually,
It's a vanilla slice, like a slice of cake.
I have vanilla slice.
Yes.
Oh, maybe. Oh, I can see a vermin
And he brought
lord.
up food. I was like, food?
That's true. And Sean, you're absolutely right. Killer Instinct would be a great spot for a Skaven type character. Now everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
I actually had a question. Okay. So everyone knows my answer. Okay. Everyone knows my answer. And everyone knows Carson's answer to this initial question. Put your meat hammer away. That sounded bad. Moving right along. Okay, so the question that I always like to ask people, and Carson's kind of aware of this, is if you could only play one army in one game, what would it be? Obviously, Carson's ogres. No one cares. Before, it would have been Necrons, though, right? Right? I know, my friend. But, okay, so now here comes the interesting. Everyone knows my answer is Skaven. Like, it's not even a thought. It's Skaven, it's AOS, moving right along. But what if, and I want to know I want to know the chats. Like, I know some people, like, I know Lidificus is obviously Gitz. You know, I know Sean's is Sylvaneth. You know, I don't know that Keith necessarily has one. He moves around a little bit more. But, like, so like, basically the question that I always ask people is, what would you pick? What would be, like, your one thing? Now, it would be really hard for me. Like, I do have a decent collection, right? Because I am quite eclectic and I do like a lot of different things. But what if you have, like, what is the second one? And maybe what is the third? I think the funny thing is the answer is easy for one. For me anyway. Obviously it's Skaven. Boom, I'm done, right? I'm out. Right? But number two, if I could only pick two, the second choice for me is really hard. And I actually don't know. I was thinking about this the other day. Before I would have always said Deepkin. Right? But now, like, I had so much fun painting my Seraphon. And I never play them. I never get to play them. You know what I mean? But I love dinosaurs. I love ocean and I love dinosaurs. So if it's three, it's easy for me. Right? But, because, like, the thing is it's like, what do you like we're not just playing games. Like, some people that's their main thing, but I really like to hobby as well. So it becomes much more difficult. So if it's three, it's easy for me. If it's two, that's where I don't know. I don't know if I could pick between. I would probably pick Deepkin, I think, just because they're so novel and they're less popular. Seraphon, I think, are one of the most popular armies in the game. It seems like. So what would you pick, Carson? Like, if you could only pick a second army, and it could be in any game system, by the way. For me, it's like, it's those three armies in AOS, right? And then number four, I might go Tyranids in, like, in 40k or something like that. But
yeah, I think that so. Yeah, number one is obviously ogres, and then number two would probably be something like, if I had to choose two armies that I can only ever play. I'm the kind of person that tends to, like, really hardline stay in one hobby or game,
so
or whatever.
jealous. I'm so jealous.
It's mostly just because I always entrench myself in the competitive side of things, and I find that if you're not like super focused on it on the competitive
true.
side of things, then you kind of lose touch, and then I lose interest when that happens. I think that the second one would be like vastly different to what Ogres is, playstyle wise, but I still don't hate looks wise. So if you think of like something completely different, you might think like Tzeentch is like really different to Ogres.
Very
I don't think I would. I don't think I'd really play Tzeentch though.
no.
I think that I would probably choose something like Cities, where it's like
That's
there's a
what I was
lot of
gonna say.
thought.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought required to like really pilot a city's army, as well as it's a beautiful range. So
That's
yeah.
true. It's toolboxy, which you also like, and it's also like good. It's a different palette for like your painting skills. You could do very different stuff for that. Yeah. So yeah, and okay, and if you were to pick a third,
if I were to pick a third, I'd probably just try to cover as many different like things as I can. I guess like play styles as I can, because Ogres is like the quintessential destruction. Like I'm fast, I'm a hammer,
yeah,
and I just want to beat stuff up. Cities is much more like it's a castle. There's like thought going into it, and it's a toolbox army, kind of like you said. I might aim to do something more of like a control army after that. So I might start looking into like maybe not Nurgle now, but I feel like that's kind of what they intend it to be. But Nurgle would be cool. Maybe Soulblight as well.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say toolbox. They have some fun, like they got hammer fun, fun hammer stuff as well. But yeah, but control and toolboxy. Yeah. Well, and then you would have all 4 factions. You'd have destruction, chaos, death, and order. That'd be cool. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of a fun thing. Okay, so if I pick... but the problem for me is that Deepkin and Seraphon are both order. So, like, if I'm sticking to that, it's like, maybe I don't need destruction, or... No, I kind of do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have to pick that at a separate date.
Yeah, fair enough.
Probably Deepkin. But then I think for... I don't know. For death, I love Soulblight. I love vampires. But, like, I had so much fun converting my FEC. And for destruction, it's easy. Gets is easily my favorite destruction army. They're super fun. I do like my Cruel Boys. And I really like Iron Jaws. I've just never kind of had the opportunity. That's the army that other than Nurgle, that's the army I want the most for the channel. Because I think it's like a fun experience, you know what I mean? And we could just get a bunch of fun models, and I don't know, it's relatively simple to pilot, I think. So yeah.
Yep, that makes total sense. And then looking at the chat, I see
Ron.
Big Ron would stick to Stormcast and Ogres, which I think is that makes a lot of sense, because like I said, Ogres like the quintessential destruction, glass hammer, super fast army. And then Stormcast both has like a really deep range of war scrolls, as well as it's like very tough, very, very different to Ogres in that sense.
True.
Like,
elite, better armor, whereas Ogres are crappy armor, more wounds.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that Keith said about your vanilla slice? He said look it up, and I was going to say it's definitely porn if he's telling us to just look it up, but Leviticus says that's totally a pastry. I looked it up.
Yeah, it looks like it's some sort of custard thing between 2 pieces of like flaky dough.
You're making it sound terrible, but
I don't know. That sounds pretty good to me. It's
it sounds good. Like let's see, vanilla slice.
It's like flake pastry with like some sort of vanilla custard in the center.
It looks like a Nanaimo bar, but not like the same colors and such.
And no coconut.
No coconut.
Or chocolate.
Well, I see. Some of them seem to have coconut. No, but it looks like a Nanaimo bar, though, right?
Yeah.
Just like different colors and flavors, but
looks like an albino Nanaimo bar. That's what it looks
like. Okay, I was gonna pull it up, but it's too much. I don't want to get quite so derailed. I want to go back to the chats, and let me know in the comments afterward if you could only pick We'll say 3 armies across all game systems. Okay, so then Keith says, if you mean AOS specifically, it would be Cities of Sigmar Humies. That's cool. Yeah, like Carson was saying earlier, great toolbox, you know. Yeah, like there's so many great reasons to do that. And then Keith says, if I had to sell all my armies except one and not buy any others for any other game systems, Solar Auxilia, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, though, even though Horus Heresy is a mess. Yeah, that's a cool one. Like that's like basically like what's it called? Astra Militarum, but for Horus Heresy. And I think, don't they have access to like the knights and stuff like that? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. That's a great pick. Vox says, if I can only pick one, it's Skaven. Well, clearly a person of distinguishing tastes. You made the right choice. I totally agree. And then Leviticus, it gets is my number 1, clearly. Skaven, hopefully, is my number 2. I hope that's not a poo joke. Moving right along. Seraphon is my 3rd. Whoa. Man, what great taste Leviticus has, I must say. This is my trio for 4th edition. Only way there's a 4th added is if Chorfs hit in 4th. Nice. Chorfs meaning Chaos Dwarves. Yeah, I think Chorfs is one of those things where it's like, I don't think they're going to bring true Chorfs. I think it's going to be like AOS Chorfs. You know what I mean? Like, we're back, baby, and curlier than ever or something. You know what I mean? But like more like let's get crazy. Like, let's not like maybe not that many even like infantry models. Like maybe they're mostly all those bull tars or whatever they were called. Were they called bull tars? The Chaos Dwarf.
I have no idea.
Oh, there's like Centaur Chaos Dwarves. And I think they were called bull tars, but I could be wrong. Yeah, that's a cool pick. I did actually play Chorfs in a tiny bit of Chorfs in 4th edition fantasy. So it's been a long time. I had like the plastics and I had, the book and everything. I don't know. I just like their lore. It was kind of fun. Vox says great hobby options, various materials, and fairly open gameplay style that would allow me to go ranged, melee, magic, horde, or elite. Yeah, it's so true. And he's talking about Skaven there. Jim Skaven says, I only like to play one army in AOS, and I do find them straight up less fun in this edition. That's too bad. I've heard a lot of people say that, but I do think that we should wait and kind of see, because we don't really know the points and whatnot. So hopefully, and I think they'll all get there eventually, Jim. But I feel you, man. I hope that it gets better in that regard. Bear says, I've been enjoying my Seraphon, but a big pig and boar heavy army would be fun for my next army. Yes. Clearly another person of distinguishing taste. I mean, like, what's not to like about lizards riding dinosaurs with freaking lasers? Like, it is such a, win of a design concept that they made way back in, 1995. Like, clearly coming off the heels of Jurassic Park being, the most popular book sold, for decades and decades was a great thing. Or movie, obviously, was the more popular thing. But, what a win of a design. I love them, too. Lizards riding dinosaurs with Aztec magical devices. It's just so awesome. Eventually, when I finish painting my new Skaven army, I'm planning on heading back to Seraphon for a bit of a vacation, to go back and forth. I think I could probably paint Skaven literally forever, but variety is kind of good for the soul to mix things up a bit. So I want to paint some Croxagore. It's one of my favorite new models, and some more Agrodon. Yeah. Sorry, can you read Keith's comment? My throat is dying.
Sure. Yep. So it says for AOS, I already did this. I got tired of being indecisive and changing armies all the time. Spent a lot of mental energy and time to home in and lock into just Cities of Sigmar Humies. So yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of what's been getting the lion's share of the attention from GW for sure too. All the new sculpts have been human. I'm unsure if they're going to like axe the other stuff from the range.
Yeah. The problem is though is the lore.
Yeah. The whole
know?
lore is that it's supposed to be like a city of like multiple races living together in harmony. So my hope is that they do expand into the other ranges, especially because they introduced kind of part of that toolbox that I was talking about, where if you play just humans, then you don't quite get access to as many things. Like on the elf side of thing, it's like really swift and hard hitting, but not necessarily able to take a punch. And then the dwarf side of things is like you have your slow anvils and stuff. And then humans make, war machines a lot of the time work with their like fusiliers and the cannons and stuff like that, which is really neat. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's a great point. Bull centaurs. Billy Mays said it.
Billy Mays here.
Yeah, I was gonna take it. I love Chipotle Away. It's
my favorite. Yeah. Saved me so many pairs of underwear.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, what a great episode. Key says moving right along is another one for the bingo card. I actually think that's a great, because like we probably say it in every episode, you know. That sounded far more doomed than intended. Oops. I mean, like, it is what it is, right? Like, bit of a pithy saying, but like, it seems to be the kind of general consensus, but it's still, we're at day -4 or whatever for the book actually being out and us knowing what the points are. And, there's definitely a period, even though it's sort of a rehash of the index, or not sort of, it's very much a rehash of it. There's still enough new war scrolls that like, hopefully we'll see some tech. And if not, I really do have confidence that they'll fix it. Like, Cruel Boys by the end of 3rd edition were a really fun army that was in a good spot. And like, they weren't afraid to add battle tactics for them last edition and to change things as necessary. Like the scare shields on the Cruel Boys used to like roll. What was it? Oh, thanks for joining us, Scotty. Appreciate having you. You used to have to roll, like, I think it was like at the start of the battle shock phase, like only if they're in a certain range, only if they were a certain kind of model. And if you rolled more than that, then they were -1 to hit in the following combat phase. And it was just like, come on, like, what are we doing here? Like, this is nuts. And then eventually they just made it like, I think it was just -1 to hit if you are X, Y, or Z. And it was just so much more tight, tightly written rules. Whereas so we could see stuff like that for Skaven as well. Stuff to just make, quality of life and make things more fun. So it wouldn't surprise me. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Matthew says, I'm an SCE fanboy first. After that, not too sure. Iron Jaws, Cruel Boys. Those are great choices. You know what I really like is I like it when my armies, like, I like having like 2 armies, as you guys noticed from my lore probably, like that are like opposed to each other. Like Skaven versus Seraphon. Skaven versus Lizardman was a thing back in the day. So it's just kind of fun. So it's like if you have like Stormcast versus Khorne, or Slaves to Darkness versus Cities. Actually, no, Cruel Boys versus Cities is very thematic as well, like from Dominion and whatnot, right? But like all that stuff is super fun, I don't know. Do you think that I think that people tend to go for armies that are sort of opposed to one another.
I think that's kind of the beauty of Age of Sigmar, is that there are armies that fundamentally excel in different things. And because the ranges are like a little more narrow, people can kind of, just get a different army if they want a different play style. Whereas in 40K, it's like you can kind of make, and this is from a very like high level perspective, but it seems like you can kind of make any army do anything for
Right.
for
Sorry,
40K.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. And it's just nice that you have the option to, or rather, like it's smart as a business decision on GW's part to basically say like this is the anvil army that it moves slow. This is the army that moves super fast and does a ton of damage, but it doesn't take damage kind of thing. Like it's cool having those archetypes on such a basic level, because I'm sure that in 40k there's probably a lot of nuance into what armies can lean into,
Yeah,
and like
for sure.
overall there's probably themes like that, but still, you know, it very much so feels like you can kind of do each general thing with every army there.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
and Pat mentions the pushed into battle rule for the bell/furnace. That did improve. They took it away, or not took it away. They made it bad. So in AOS 1, you didn't need anything to push them around. And then when we got our first book in AOS 2, you know, we went back to that, and then they removed it because it was just like, it was one of those things where it's like it makes it hard to play, so it makes it hard to point it as well. But yeah, that was a huge quality of life improvement for sure. Keith said, "Oh, Pat said you're back." Yeah, that's no worries. You know, watching stuff with the kids is important. I understand that. So I almost missed Vox's. If AOS doubles down on Hedonite's tempt mechanic and pushes it a lot further, Hedonites would be my second option. I love the idea of a double-edged sword faction. Yes, and like that faction, you know, if played well, is devastating and scary. Like that's another one that we didn't really talk about before, because when we were talking about armies that are like, remember we were talking about like armies that are hard to play and stuff, and we didn't even mention Hedonites, and that is definitely like a you know, an army that's harder to play, but like if you, with the right pilot, like terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Yeah.
We saw Matthias do really well with it at Tacoma, and it's got a lot of scary stuff in there for sure. Like it's very good. Yeah, it's in a good spot, but it's very punishing as well, just because it's paper thin in some ways. But yeah, it's a good army.
It's a good army. And then Keith says, my army is lore accurate. My humies go out and fight against horrible nightmares. The dwarfs follow later to build a town. The elves are off doing elf things. That makes sense. That all checks all the right boxes, I think. And Jim says, I just want my rat and power armor back. Do you mean like the Arch Warlock? I'm assuming. We're getting a new model. What do you think of that model, Jim? I'm curious. If you choose the right Stormcast, can be purging cities. Yep. Lore-wise, you can't beat the Empire versus Chaos. Big battle. Archaon versus Galton. Huge battle. Crashed by orcs. Cause, oh, I see. We give big thumping. Yeah. Yeah, like, there's lots of great... Like, a lot of people who liked goblins in fantasy liked Skaven, because or dwarves. Like, they made like kind of a trifecta of armies that were battling underground that no one even knew about. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Beastmen and wood elves, like all those kinds of fun, sort of old school, lore appropriate. Yeah, it's cool to have both sides of those. That was a very welcome change. Oh, I think you mean the furnace, I think. I just don't tend to like human adjacent, elf adjacent factions. I'm weird like that too, where, I mean, like, not totally. I don't mind elves, because elves are weird. They're like, you know what I mean? Like, especially in AOS. Like, you've got fish elves. Like, are they even elves at this point? Are Ida Deepkin even elves? Like, are Sylvaneth even elves? Like, it doesn't really feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, they are.
Sylvaneth are definitely.
But like they are though. You know what I mean? Like, they're literally like born of elves. You know.
Thematically, sure, but I'm saying, like, as far as what people would consider an elf, like if you look at like
exactly, yeah, that's what I was getting to. So, I do like those factions. I like Sylvaneth. I especially like Iden Deepkin, of course. And if we ever get Kurnothi, I'm buying it. all. Like, it sucks to be me when that happens. Like, I hope it's not anytime soon. I really hope we get it, but I just hope it's not anytime soon because my wallet was set on fire, by this new Skaven release. So, yeah, it's like glowing, like plutonium or something right now, like warpstone. Actually, I'm very appropriate.
Indeed.
My Skaven themed wallet that I own, that you've seen. my wallet literally is a Skaven wallet, in and out. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't like humans because they're boring. You know what I mean? Like, no, and I'm not crapping on anyone. Like, a lot of people, like, something that we talk about and we see talked about that people really want is they want to, like, kind of see themselves in the army they play. I don't want that at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes total
weird
sense.
things. Yeah.
I mostly agree with that, but I am an ogre in real life.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm big, I'm bald, I got a stupid mustache, I'm fat.
Wait. What? Do ogres have mustaches? Or are they
They
known
always
for
get those
mustache?
stupid Fu Man shoes going on.
Oh, I guess that rings a bell.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't stared into the faces of ogres like you have, which makes sense.
So many times. Oh my
goodness. You got lost in their
but-
eyes.
Yeah, but I kind of like, there was a while there where I almost started, before really getting back into AOS, I almost started Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum, just because I kind of like the idea of, like, there's this insane universe where all these, like, crazy things are happening and there's beings that are so powerful, it's just, like, not even comprehensible from the human mind. And you still have humans there. And they're still just, like, random regular people. And you're just like, we're going to do the goddamn best we can, and it's going to be awful, but we're gonna try. And that's kind of like, I really like Noble Bright settings for that reason. And I think that AOS is kind of a Noble Bright setting in that, like, there's hope, right? It's not that everything is completely doomed. It's that, like, the cities of Sigmar, their whole lore is that they're venturing back out after the Age of Chaos. And I like that there's, like, okay, finally there's hope. And it's not, I don't like the Stormcast quite as much because it's like superhuman, like, power fantasy, in my opinion, which is totally fine if you do like that sort of thing. But I like the
very
cities
popular.
of Sigmar. Yeah. I like the cities of Sigmar for the reason of, like, they're just, like, stuck in the mud, like, trying to make it work and just, like, doing the best they can to make the realms a better place, kind of thing, I guess.
I actually totally get that. And what's interesting too is, like, if you look at fantasy, it was just grimdark and that's it. 40K, it's just grimdark. Like, there is no Noble Bright. But when AOS came out, and actually Vince Venturella did a video on this, comparing and contrasting, and Age of Sigmar is also high fantasy versus the low fantasy of old world fantasy. But yeah, I totally agree with that. That's why I really like Brent Weeks's novels a lot more than George R.R. Martin's, because, like, he tends to just lean into much more grim, dark, and dreary, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, almost for grim, dark's sake to a certain extent. Whereas what I like about Brent Weeks is he has that Noble Bright. Like, all the darkness is used as a contrast for the brightness. You know what I mean? And for the nobility of, human spirit or whatever it is at the time. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And also the reason, another thing that's so great about Age of Sigmar is that we're able to just get weird. We're able to be a lot more weird and interesting, therefore. And it also makes humans more interesting because of that. Like, if you've got an old world, or maybe I'll use 40K because it's like just a much easier, lower hanging fruit. But, like, if you've got, like, Ultramarines, you've got Space Wolves, you've got Blood Angels, you've got Imperial Fists, and I'm just naming Space Marines, but then you've got World Eaters, you've got Thousand Suns, you've got, you know what I mean? And I could go on and on and on. And then and these are just the superhuman factions, right? And they all like they're all their own codexes. Almost everything I just named was its own codex, right? And then, and then you go over to you've got Sisters of Battle, and it's just like we're not getting. It's not that interesting, Whereas and then if you've got Imperial Guard, which are super interesting, and a lot of people really like them, and I get why. Like artillery and lots of bodies, you know what I mean? It's very fun, and it's cool to see that sort of struggle against the grim darkness or whatever. But it's more interesting in Age of Sigmar because everything's weird. We don't have 50 different flavors of power armor. You know what I mean? We don't have a bunch of different human factions. Like what are the other human factions? Other than Cities of Sigmar.
There are none. Unless you consider Stormcast, but you don't really.
But they're not human anymore. They're they're like little demigods.
Other than like Chaos, you can argue that like Dark Oath now are like.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
No, okay, but that is human. But you've also you've got demons and stuff in there too or whatever. But no, I actually that was a good point. That was a really good. Although, but even in them, you've got ogroids. You've got weird stuff in there too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. They're kind of mixed in, very much so. It seems like Slaves to Darkness and Cities of Sigmar are like opposing ideologies, I guess, where it's just like it's like a mixed, like bunch of races that are like sort of under the same banner. For Chaos, it's a different reason, obviously. For Slaves to Darkness, rather, I do like the Slaves to Darkness lore too. Like in general,
Very
where
cool.
it's like,
they.
They worship the Chaos Gods as if it's like a pantheon, and they might not actually even know that they're worshiping like Khorne or Slanesh or something like that. It might just be under a different name. And it could be like, what if the Greeks existed as a society and they're worshiping their Greek pantheon? It's just that Zeus was another name for Tzeentch, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't know it, right?
Right.
Like that's just a cool concept to me. Where
It's super cool. And they actually did that in the old world too, where the what were they called? Norska was basically like the Viking version of the Chaos humans, and they called like Tzeentch was was it Tzeentch? They all had like different names and different symbols and totally different stuff. I think like Tzeentch was like a snake or something, and like it was really cool. And I always thought that like the Norska side of that was way more interesting because of all that. But yeah. And they're doing that in Age. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, like Age of Sigmar is just so much better, right? Can we all agree? Like
pat ourselves on the back. We have such a cool system universe. Well done, everybody. Good job. We
did something for this, right? Other than just liking it. Actually, that's the reason why I think Xenos is like the best part of 40K is because they're the most interesting. You've got Space Orcs, which are hilarious. Like truly actually funny. You've got weird fish communist Tau people, you know what I mean, in Gundam suits. You've got Tyranids, which are on their own, super interesting. You've got Eldar, which are probably like the least interesting, but they're still like pretty weird and different, you know what I mean? Like you can go on from there. There's Genestealer Cult are kind of like darkly funny, like very sort of a macabre kind of humor. But yeah, I don't know. Keith says, I love my Necrons, soulless undead, waking up after 60 million years, yelling, get off my lawn. Yep, absolutely. Carson's real, like, favorite from 40K. Let's get weird. Yeah, I always say that, I said it to this guy.
I do.
Right before we went into the bathroom together, and I don't know, he didn't know that I was talking about Age of Sigmar, apparently. Like, isn't that what you...
Yeah.
Does that phrase exist outside of Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, you kept saying like Great Horn Brad and Glory and stuff like that, and
yeah,
I think you kind of got the wrong message. But that's okay.
What else is there to? What else?
I don't understand. I don't quite understand. Yeah,
I don't get it either.
Jim Skaven says, I think the lore of AOS is kind of lame. It appears to be getting better, but its foundations are too Sigmar-y. It's a word now. I think that's fair. Like, I think that also 40K has had like literal decades of lore building for its universe. And
There's two different things though. Like if we're talking about lore though, there's the novels and the stories, and then
Yeah.
there's like the lore, right?
Right.
And like you said, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. And I think that like Rob and I are very like complementary war gamers in that Rob is very interested in like the novels, and he could, there's videos that he's made about like what the best entry point is and stuff like that, and what the best novels are. I have not read one single AOS novel ever, and I don't know if I will. To be honest. And it's not because I don't enjoy them. It's just that like I like approaching the theme and lore of a setting from the perspective of gameplay, and I like seeing like how do the armies play, and like what's I'll open the book and flip through it a bit just to see like what are they like, and I like hearing people tell me about like what the lore is from other things like that, and experiencing it through other things. And in that sense, I really like AOS because on the surface it seems like there's these kind of like noble bright themes kind of throughout the whole universe of AOS, which I like a lot. Whereas the more, and I did read a lot of novels and stuff for 40k, and it was just so like we're just gonna if you're not useful to us, you're gonna die, and we're gonna grind you into
so
meat paste
grim.
and feed you into your friends, and you're just like, oh god, like I don't want that.
I think that's kind of the reason. I actually think that's the reason why the Horus Heresy novels are so popular, is because there's a lot more nobility in just what the individual Space Marines are kind of trying to accomplish.
It hasn't gotten to this point yet, basically.
It hasn't, but I will say though that all the lore, and I don't disagree with you, Jim, because like outside of the Darius Hinks novels for Age of Sigmar, there hasn't been like a novel that I really enjoyed. And I am obviously like literature and reading and writing and that kind of thing is the thing I'm more into than anything else. It's actually the one thing more than Street Fighter. Like most people don't know that about me because I don't really bring it up that much. But like novels and reading and writing and that kind of thing is my number one hobby. And I do think that Age of Sigmar, I think the problem that I think most people have with Stormcast, like you said earlier, and and their concentration on Stormcast is like there's like a certain kind of lack of like artistic inspiration. Like it's not like it's like it's like a Marvel movie. Marvel movies are very popular, right? But they're not something that's like handed off to an artist for him to make. You know what I mean? Like you don't make a Marvel movie on your own and it's like this interesting artistic vision. You know what I mean? Outside of like the Netflix shows, like Daredevil was insanely amazing, and it was one of those things. But like a Marvel movie, it's like this event, and it's made by a committee of like 1 million billion people, and like no one person has access to the stories, But like, and so I think that's kind of the problem. They've seen the success of Horus Heresy and Space Marines in 40k, and they're like, we need to bring this over to Age of Sigmar because this is what's popular over here. And I get why they think that, but they should have looked at what was popular in the old world to figure out what would be popular in fantasy, right? And what was popular, like some of the most popular books, had no humans in them, right? The Thankful series. There's a couple humans if you look at the whole series, but like I wish Jason was here in the chat. Like there's like a set of really famous books about Tyrion and Teclis. Like there's a book, like there's so many, like the Orion trilogy, which I've met like 1 or 2 humans, in the whole thing, mostly about wood elves, obviously, and beastmen and stuff like that. But like my point is that like, yeah, I think they need to kind of get down to like some of these more interesting and like weird and I don't know, get more creative. Like, I heard really good things. I haven't read it, but I heard the Kato Ezeshiar novel was really, really good. It's like a Soulblight character. I haven't got around to reading it, unfortunately, but like I heard it was really, really good. Like there's not a single novel for Sylvaneth. They're one of the most popular factions in all of Age of Sigmar. And they're a faction that would work. They're one of the few factions that would work. Like, I kind of get it when it comes to, like, Seraphon. Because Seraphon, like, their way of thinking is so far outside. And I think, like, C.L. Werner did a fantastic job in the second Thanquol novel, Temple of the Serpent. But, like, I get that it's hard to write. So, like, making a novel just for Seraphon would be difficult, even though it would be popular, right? But, like, they did it for Deepkin. There's, like, an actual Deepkin novel, but there's still no Sylvaneth one, you know? Horse Heresy, I have way more novels than I care to count. Yeah, exactly. And, like, so, but my original point, Jim, and I really like that you brought it up. And I like that you were being, like, honest about it. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's so important. But putting that aside, I don't think AOS has caught up in terms of, like, novels and stuff like that. There are great ones. There are some genuinely really great novels, but not compared to 40K. But where we actually do better than 40K is in our lore, in our books, in our army books, our battle tomes. Like, most of them actually have really great lore, especially, you know, like the ones that I'm thinking of are like Flesh Eater Courts, have fantastic lore, like really creepy and funny and interesting lore. What were some of the other ones? Deepkin, actually, Deepkin's my personal favorite. I think. Oop, I just killed a mosquito. Deepkin actually has my favorite lore of anything. Any of the books, but I'm hoping that I've heard that the Skaven one is really good in the new battle tome. From someone I trust. Like, apparently it's way better, so I'm really excited for that. Yes, the Tyrion Teclis Omnibus. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, like, that's one of those classic fantasy novels that people still talk about. Warhammer fantasy novels. I have the Nagash trilogy, Sigmar trilogy, and 2 High Elf series. Yeah, like, and like, how many of those are? Nagash is undead, right? Is death. Sigmar, so that's humans, and then 2 High Elves. Like, only one of those was a human one, right? Now I picture Teclis casting a spell in an Australian accent at Cannon. That's pretty funny, Pat. Sylvaneth won't make a book because the trees. No, I get what you're saying, Bear, but the thing is, though, is they did it for... But they're not that far outside of, like, the way humans think. Like, it would work quite well, I think. Like, they made... I don't know. They're popular enough, and, like, you could have, like, you've had books, you know, that are told from Nagash's perspective, so why not Ilariel? She's a god, you know? You had a book that's about Kragnos. I never read it, so I don't know if it's, you know, whatever. But, like, you could have it, like, you know, like an upper, like, or do one about Belthanos. I will buy that book, you know? I mean, there's a book by Robert Backer. I think it's Robert Backer. Called Raptor Red, and it's literally a novel told from the perspective of a Utah raptor. If you can make, and it's great, by the way, it's actually legitimately really good. And so if you can make it like a novel from the perspective of an animal, you could do about any Age of Sigmar race, right? Like, they're way more complicated. You know, even I think Seraphon is genuinely the hardest one, but it'd still be really good. I would like to do that. I would love to write like a Seraphon novel. I think I would actually do a good job. It has to be third person. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be, you know, like, there's going to be a lot more exposition, but it can be done, man. And it would be good, I think. Yeah. So someone said something really good. Jim says, excellent point. The current timeline is doing quite well. FEC is getting pretty awesome. Yeah, they're really interesting. Their book, if you can, like, get your hands on just some of the battle tomes, oh man. Or you could just tune into 2+ Tough, actually. That's probably the best way. Just listen to 2+ Tough. He'll narrate, all the interesting lore for you. Yeah. Matthew says, I love the Deepkin one too. Do you mean the novel or the battle tome, Matthew? They're both great. The novel, Court of the Blind Prince or whatever with Prince Lurien, very good. He's a very unlikable character at the beginning. And he doesn't really change all that much, but it's a fun read. It's like a genuinely fun experience. Yeah. How does live murder of an insect affect your YouTube algorithm? What happened? Oh, yeah, right. Mosquitoes. Yeah. I'm like never mind. I'm not going to say that. I just thought better of it. I was going to compare myself to a dictator. I was like, nope, probably not a good idea. When it comes to mosquitoes. Yeah. What's funny is they never bite me. They never bite me. I don't know what it is. They never bite me, but they love my wife's blood. It's like, mwah. They always bite her. It's crazy. Delicious blood.
I get murdered by mosquitoes all the
You
time.
do? Really?
Yeah, anytime I'm outside, I just get like harvested.
That's crazy. Yeah, I very, very rarely get bitten. Yeah. Sucks to be you. Anyway, books are made of paper and paper's made of trees. Oh, that was so clever. Baird. I doth my imaginary cap. And he bonks himself. Yeah, I definitely missed your joke. I'm sorry. I'm reading and I'm ranting, and it's all just, I love Doug's endless enthusiasm. Why are they cool? Absolutely. I think that's what actually made him popular. And I thought about like maybe doing my own videos about like the Skaven, lore once it comes out, and like, but I don't know if that's something people would want to do, because like we already have Doug, we already have 2+ Tough. But like I was thinking about maybe making it for specific armies that I'm super into and can be very enthusiastic about. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we should probably call it here. My throat is done and I have a Korean lesson soon. So was there anything you would like to say, Carson, before we peace out of here?
Yeah, catch us next week. We're going to be doing a list and tournament review for Sparkle Party Deathmatch with John.
That's next Tuesday. Yep.
And if anyone's coming to Richmond Reroll, feel free to come say hi. And yeah, catch you all next time.
Right. And don't forget to compliment Carson a lot when you're playing with him. Okay, bye.